I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger traveling through this world of woe, and there's no sickness, no toil, no danger in that bright land to which I'll go. Well, I'm going there to see my father. Well, I'm going there, no more to roam. I'm only going over hillside. I'm only going over home. Well, I know dark clouds will gather round me. I know my way is rough and steep, but golden fields lie just before me, where those who lay shall ever sleep. Well, I'm going there to see my mother and all my loved ones who moved on. I'm only going over hillside. I'm only going over home.
Okay. Mike's going live. Don't worry, they didn't hear you, they only heard me. Hello everyone, and welcome to Overgrown, episode number 6, the finale, the last for now. And, yes, it's lovely to have you all back.
We hope for now, and that it's not a sheepy ending where it's ended in tragedy.
Everybody dies.
That's what I'm like secretly expecting here. Like I'm just so expecting a sheepy ending. Everybody's dead.
You know, there are things worse than death.
That's true.
And we're all
dying
like
old,
in purgatory,
alone.
trying
No,
to find
dying
the one
overgrown.
person that's still alive.
Michigan.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Water. Which is
Dying
causing all
old,
this
alone,
drug.
and forgotten.
I know
like
not-
some Hollywood star from the 30s that nobody remembers, and they die in an apartment that like they're paying $25 a month for. And somebody was like, "Were they famous once?" Like, "Oh yeah, I think they were famous in the 30s." But nobody knows that they're dead for like a year. Like they find their body a year later, because nobody even remembered that they existed. That's worse than
got
just
real
dying.
dark. This got
I'm
real
just saying.
dark
I,
real fast.
I'm listening to a podcast, and it's, you know,
You're like, there's backing, there's ground for this. I'm telling you.
I know.
and it's a true podcast. Makes me sad.
I know nothing about American states. I just went with one that sounded boring. So
You did great.
apologies,
honestly.
Michigan, or not, as the case may be.
I mean, yeah, feel free to apologize to him, but I mean, you shot from the hip and you nailed that thing. That was
Wonderful,
good.
wonderful. So quick channel stuff, then we'll get into it. As usual, if you would like to support the channel, if you enjoy the shows that we do, there is a Patreon where you can pledge as little or as much, well, not as much, it only goes up to a certain point, but as little as you want, and yeah, all of that goes into paying the cost, allows me to pay more cost, and allows me to do more shows. We're getting there, so it's very possible we might start two show slots a week at some point, so keep that in mind. Additionally, there's a website. It has a list of all the shows on it. It's very easy to navigate and is a great way to find the shows that you've missed. There is also the Twitter and the Discord for A, shows you may have missed, or B, just mostly getting notified for when we go live. So If you want to be notified, Discord's probably the best place. Twitter's a nice second place. Well, no, it's not nice, but it is a second place you can go and see these things. Yes, important update. After this finale here, we're going to take a small hiatus because I need a little bit of time to catch up with everything. As you may have noticed, we still don't have merch. We still don't have, other things. It's because I am behind on all of the everything, because pretty much, aside from a few lovely helpers in the background, quite literally sometimes, I am pretty much doing this all by myself. So, trying to get the merch up or trying to get moved over. Also, worth saying that there is a small possibility, and I'm just going to keep an eye out, that either the cameras will freeze for me or my computer will crash and etc. We'll do our best to work around it if it does happen, but let's just cross our fingers and hope that it doesn't. That's another reason for the hiatus. I may need to send my computer away to get fixed. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put a pause on the Patreon if it ends up lasting more than a couple of weeks, and if it looks like it's going to be, like a month or so, I'll put a pause on the Patreon so we won't collect any payments during the time we're on hiatus, and I'll start it up again. So, yeah. You won't be charged for the hiatus, is what I'm saying, basically. Past that, I should put some music on. What on me? There we go.
The mood setting.
Yeah, okay. Past that, I do have a few plans for upcoming shows. The one I'm trying to get locked in, which will hopefully be back with the hiatus. When the hiatus finishes, it'll be back with, I have an idea for a Star Wars show that I want to do. It's kind of, yeah, it's interesting. And there's a few, there are multiple shows, I think 3 shows being recorded currently. So we will have a backlog of shows to start giving to you as well, which is going to be nice. Gonna see if I can try and start up a couple more recordings. And there is a distinct possibility. I'm going to have to wait till after this episode. I can take a step back and look. I'm very heavily considering moving everything to recorded and not doing live shows aside from maybe a couple. So keep that in mind. I don't think it will make much difference to most people. Most people seem to watch the VODs anyway, as opposed to the live stream. So, like, hey everyone on the VODs, how you doing? It's a day later. Is it looking any better? I don't think I've missed anything, but I always think that, and then I remember something halfway through the show. I'm like, I should have talked about that.
That we're all awesome. That's what you missed.
That's pretty much a given. I think I put that in the description down below, actually.
That's what you missed.
Yeah.
Everything's in the description.
Oh, yes. Everything is in the description down below. So go check that out. It has everyone here. It has the wonderful anonymous person who made all the intro videos, made all of the everything. No, I'm lying. That's Safi. And the wonderful anonymous person who made all of the some of the music for the show, the theme song especially. I'm lying. That's Pony Punch. He's down below there too. Go check them out. And if you do go to Pony Punch's stream while he's live, ask him to play the Overgrown song on his channel, because I don't think he's done that yet. He keeps forgetting. So go poke him, because, Okay. So with that said, I think we've covered everything. So we'll do a little bit of a recap, and then we'll get into final little bit. And I believe we started off last episode with a fight between Briarmurk, a badger, and Honey Mustelay, who is also a badger. It was very close to like WWE or WWF. I forget which one's which. There were holds, there were throws, then there came quite a bit of punching, but
lots of taunting.
But Nay did I want to say like Nay emerged victorious, but I feel more Nay emerged like having taught a lesson to this slightly younger Badger who was a bit, impulsive and etc. So
Yes. Agreed.
both of those things, victorious and taught a lesson, as we always expect from our elders, but not always receive. Some people have terrible teachers, that's all I'll say. However, they did keep moving. They got shouted at by crows and ravens again, and they made it to the breach, the area where you can actually gain entry into the wilds. There's a few other places where you can, but honestly, most of them involve going over water or over places even more dangerous, so the breach is the general place people tend to try and enter. I believe Nico and Junior went off to lend a bit of assistance to the breach, the people of the breach, with some vines and some undergrowth encroaching, while the adults, the parents, stood watching a mouse sleep for a while. There's a very funny cut where we just cut to Junior and Nico being absolutely like grabbed by vines and stuff. And then just back to them just standing there like, do you think we should wake him up? Like maybe poke him? However, the mouse in question, who was in repose, was awakened by dumping water all over him. Turned out to be a reasonably friendly person, although not everyone approved of him, and he even agreed after being told he was part of a prophecy that was spoken earlier. The group believed that he was part of this prophecy, being a legacy in repose, and he agreed to help you go through the wilds. Not everyone was happy about that, and he even taught Junior a little bit about the world, mainly being it's all well and good to be honest and upstanding and everything, but if you get dirt thrown in your face, you're gonna lose a duel or a sparring session. Dash took a little lull in activity to wander off by himself, followed by Junior. They had I would call it a little bit of a heart-to-heart, but also a little bit of a confrontation. Whereupon Dash aired some of his feelings of inadequacy, and Junior just basically said, no, shut up. I believe that was generally like the general gist of the thrust of the conversation, and yeah. So, with that said, we ended that episode, and
Soft.
yeah. And we will fade in over the hearth. The camera looking down from above as we see a figure standing on a platform on the side of the wall, jump off and spread its wings, and start to slowly drift down towards the floor. The camera flies in and zooms in towards it. We see Sage kind of a little bit wobbly with the gusts and everything. And the camera zooms past her as it goes further towards the floor, and along the street towards this very well-kept, very neat-looking house with a small apparatus, kind of almost like a jungle gym or something at the back. We see like three figures desperately like tripping over bits of wood and poles and trying to grab things and kind of hanging off them as Kristen, Trag, and Rog are still training. As it sweeps past the barracks, and then sweeps up over the walls and then along towards the dam. The camera pans across the dam. We see multiple houses being rebuilt and being covered back over with dirt, a lot of them having the dirt washed away. They now look more like little mounds again. And currently speaking, there isn't a whole load of water everywhere, which is lovely. At that point, the camera pivots and sweeps back down towards the south, past a big mound with lots of holes in, a little bit of activity around it. As it flies past Dennington, we see a small group of animals starting to pitch tents near the bottom of it. One very large badger with them, helping them like set up the tents properly and kind of fanning the flames, trying to get that fire going. As the camera sweeps right past that, down towards the cherry orchard, a few small pink petals fly past the lens as it goes back up and looks down on this orange and red and yellow kind of like field, basically. And then down as it zooms down towards the floor, we see, animals lying around, lazing around, a few lazily picking up fruit. It goes down to a fairly large kind of log cabin with this large, fluffy wildcat kind of sitting, lounging on the front of the porch. And as the camera kind of like slowly moves towards the wildcat, it looks up directly at the camera. Very small smile just spreads across its face as the camera sweeps away, past crows and past ravens shouting at an unfortunate little band of travelers. We don't hear what it says, just the cause as it flies over towards the breach. As it gets to the breach, it settles down into the pathways, going through the trees, the woods flying past it, and it comes to rest as morning is breaking, as daytime sets in. We see the animals we've been following slowly getting up or slowly packing up their gear, getting ready to go into the wilds. As the camera pans and looks over across the trees, the top of the wilds, you see very far in the distance a very, very large tree, slightly covered by mist and dark clouds swirling around it. And Electus says, so, once everyone's ready, we can start heading off into the wilds. I know a good way in. It should be open for another hour or so. Cleared it out last night.
Night. Sleeping.
Enough sleeping.
Nay. Can I be on my perch? It's early.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Mm.
Winnie goes up and she's like still like 3/4 of the way asleep. She's like, she's there, she's ready, but she's like, not ready for scouting.
I think all of our animals are nocturnal, so I think we're all a little sad. And and like Dash just looks at Gwynny and is like, that means I'm on scouting duty this time. And he, hops forward to sort of like, it's like a, scouting forward a bit, getting the lay of the land, then coming back. It's a pretty irregular pattern so that if he didn't come back, you would know there'd be a problem, right? And it's sort of like, forward, 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 and then back. Like that. It's like kind of like a little wave. It's a particle. It's a wave, just going out, coming back.
Okay. Is there anything anyone wants to do before you set off?
Ah, where's the food? Ah,
I knew it.
ah.
Oh.
I made a fresh batch of candy walnuts while everybody else was sleeping last night. They're in your pack. Do you have to last us? Please do not eat them all. You can get one right now.
Could I just ask a question?
Hmm.
What's the marching order? I'm not asking for combat. I'm just asking for emotional damage.
Okay.
I just kind of want to know where everybody, where where everybody is.
Yeah.
When we're going through the forest, like who's hanging out with whom.
So,
That's all.
Electus is taking the front. He's essentially already ready. So he's standing there, like hands on hips, got his rapier, like one hand on the rapier, the other just on his hip, just kind of smiling slightly and waiting for everyone to be ready to go. Nico is probably, I'd say probably parallel with Nay once you get going. Partially because Nay is reassuring in his size and abilities, especially after seeing the fight, yesterday. Also because Gwynny's there, and Nico likes Gwynny.
Gwenny's obviously with Nay.
Which is why Nico's with Nay too, partially.
Yeah.
And,
I'm holding up my
where's-
anchor position as typical as I would think the party assumes.
Yeah.
Mhm. Where's Junior?
Oh, you're not coming through, Seth.
Who?
Yep, there you go.
Junior is right beside Dash.
Dash is scouting forward and back.
Oh. Then I guess he's leading the front while Dash goes back and forth.
Okay. In that case, that is the procession you will walk through the wilds, the entrance to the wilds with, and probably through the wilds as well. As each of you pushes into this, I don't know if anyone's seen like a one of those evergreen bushes, like big, lots of leaves and everything. Like it just looks like a wall of leaves and green and everything. Like that's kind of what you have here, just with a little kind of like sort of opening. And as each of you pushes in, you each start to feel it's not completely dark, but the light is very limited. You feel like leaves kind of brushing past you, still wet with dew. You feel like it feels like vines, or it feels like those big fern like leaves kind of wrapping around you, sometimes pulling you, holding you back, sometimes pushing you, urging you forwards as you kind of like push through this really dense foliage. Eventually, each one of you in your turn step out into the wilds, and honestly, there's not that much difference you can see as you step out. There's a lot more trees. The overhead foliage is a lot denser. The undergrowth is a lot denser, but aside from that, it's a very, very small changes, really. However, you do see out further in front of you multiple little kind of like very dark green they almost look like balloons, but with like little tears around them, kind of little lines around them and everything. It's probably like half a dozen or so, just kind of plonked out right in front of you. And Electus looks round at you and says, All right, everyone through. No one get lost. No one end up in a different place. No, everyone's here. Good. Well done. You've made it your first time through into the wilds.
This isn't our first time through. We've been here before, multiple times.
Of course. I apologize. I was talking to the youngsters, to the others.
Yeah. Question: being that the foliage is thicker now that we've gotten to where we are in the wilds, is it also darker, more shade, and things of that nature? So it's like easier on some of us who are more nocturnal, where the light's not so blinding for us.
I would say there's a slight, even like definitely much less light coming through, and the light that does come through is very often kind of tinged a little green. So you have almost like a weird like atmosphere to this place, because everything's like a little green. I'll also say as well, all of you to some degree are covered in dew and like kind of greenish, kind of not dye, but you know what I mean, like you've kind of been marked with green. So you know, like your stripe, for example, Nay, has just like tuftings of green on it. Gwynny, your feathers,
with an outline of Gwynny, where Gwynny's perched on his back.
It looks like someone took like green dust and kind of just sprinkled you all with green dust and then splashed you all with some water. The only people who are an exception to this, Electus is not green or covered at all. Junior has two like lines, green kind of like lines along her shoulders. Along his shoulders. First time I did that. And Nico has just a kind of like splashing across her eyes, like almost like a mask.
And is this readily apparent to everyone, or is this very subtle? These little changes, these appearances.
I would say it's not something that stands out to you necessarily. I'll throw back a memory. When you walked through this before, a similar thing happened with Juniper. You guys were all covered in green and dew and wet and green and, you know, dusty and everything. She came through a lot less scathed. Well, not really scathed, but she came through a lot less dusted. There was, I think, it was actually probably just a couple of dusts like around her head and eyes, something like that. And I will also say that because you three have all been to the wilds before, you will recognize those weird little balloon things. They're bush bumpers. They are essentially like rubber plants that are a bit over enthusiastic. They're not dangerous, but they will bounce against you if you disturb them. They're like an excitable puppy. They kind of start bouncing and jumping, and then they'll like bounce into each other and into you and things like that. So
now, do we know if these what were they called again?
Bush bumpers.
Bush bumpers.
Yeah.
Do they only survive by staying attached to the soil or the tree that they're attached to, or can they also venture?
Oh yeah, they venture. They move all over the place. They
move all. Okay.
They have a tendency to follow anything, you know, kind of like alive.
Okay.
And so forth. I'm not going to go so far as to say they're friendly, because it's hard to tell with a bush. But as far as like you've met them before, they're a little bit like excitable puppies. They do kind of like gather around you and bounce against you and everything, and until like if it rains, they tend to take root. Or if they find a particularly interesting spot, who knows what that means, they will just kind of like root down for a while and just sit there until the next group comes along or something excites them.
So they haven't proven themselves to be predatory in the sense that we should be on our. Okay, cool.
They're weird in the sense,
fine. Yeah.
but they do also exist outside of the wilds. There's a on the map. There's the undergrowth above Beaverton,
Okay.
There's quite a large colony of them up there, and
Okay.
wandering through the undergrowth is always a bit of a pain. Dash, you'd have done it multiple times, like for the long runners. They do tend to like mob you. It's not dangerous, but it can slow you down because you're essentially surrounded by like 100 like rubber bushes that just kind of bounce around and bounce off you.
How much force do they have when they just ram themselves into you violently?
Not too much. It can knock you over if you're not prepared. I'd say it's a bit more of a danger, inverted commas danger, for mice and shrews and like little owls. No offense.
Okay, so if you're smaller, they have enough force.
Yeah,
Like little Gwen.
I was about to ask what it's like flying. Is that something that I know as a concern? Like, am I going to experience that in the air, or is it?
No, that's fine. They're in the wilds. It pays to be cautious, but you've been to the wilds enough times to know, well, to get a bit of a sense of when, you need to land again. Random storms can happen. It can suddenly go from daytime to raining. It's all very weird and chaotic in here. So,
And then just to make sure I understood all the information so far,
yeah.
Electus has none of the green around him. Is that right?
None.
Not even a single speck. Okay.
No dew, no green, nothing.
So just to be very clear, he looks great, right? He looks shiny and perfect with great teeth and great hair. I'm just asking with like a.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When he smiles, it
I figured.
tings.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I knew it. I knew they'd just be like, ping, like I knew it. Mhm.
And speaking of Electus, he says, "So gang, I think it would probably be worth not waking up the bush bumpers. Not that it isn't fun to, be mobbed by a small, bouncy set of bushes, but I'm assuming we have a fairly tight schedule, so shall we continue?"
And I think I for myself, I look over at Dash for that like confirmation, kind of like I feel good, like. Huh?
Dash like kind of cranes his head to look at Gwynny because there's that little triangle, and I imagine Gwynny's all perched up,
She's listening. I think it's because it's darker in here. I've like kind of started to open my eyes a little bit more. I'm like definitely more alert, more paying attention. Even just the like extra amount of time, whether that's an hour or 20 minutes, however long it was to get to where we are, has kind of just been the little bit that she needed to. And is
Are your ears on full roaming though?
well, because your ears, the owl's ears are on the sides of their heads, right? So
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons that they turn so much. But her feathers are all like, she's very like curled up, but very much paying attention to everything that's going on. Dash, if you need me to take over scouting, I can see a little bit more from above where we could both do it if we've done this before, if we feel we need the extra set of eyes.
I don't want you to have to fly with all those bush bumpers about. Let's
But I can avoid them.
fair.
And
It's up to you.
Nico like looks up at you as well, Gwynny, and says, "Miss Gwynny, isn't it a bit dangerous to go flying here? I've heard there's giant eagles and dangerous storms and hailstones the size of houses."
It's dangerous to go anywhere, dear. You just have to have your wits about you and be as prepared as you possibly can. But if you think about it that way, everything's dangerous.
Is that why you're sitting on Nay? Because he doesn't have his wits about him?
Dash takes this opportunity to just scout forward to not hear how that conversation's going to go. Nope, not going to be right there.
Oh, busy.
Yep. And just sort of like Pat's Junior on the way out.
He has wits of his own. And everyone has different kinds of wits.
Okay.
He has wits of the stomach.
What?
He thinks with his stomach. His wits are in his stomach, which has maybe gotten us into trouble, but we also have had amazing adventures because of it.
I'm going to quickly interject that unless anyone has been wanting to stay where you are, my assumption is that we're kind of moving.
We're
as
moving.
we're talking.
As we're going.
And Nico, when Nay like rounds on her with like kind of what, immediately like goes to where Junior is and tries to hide behind Junior, which is always funny because Nico is taller than Junior. And she says, "I'm sorry, Mr. Nay. I just noticed that you don't always think things through before you do things, and I thought that that might be an impediment in this place." Which makes...
You know what's an impediment? This tree! I just like punch my hand sideways and not trying to knock it over or anything, just more of like a defiance, because I don't really have a good comeback for this little wee one. It's more of like, I can't believe I'm getting just lambasted by one of our newest party members so quickly and so aptly. It's more of just a frustrated.
So as you
quick question: Do you need any ointment, Nay? You know, for that burn.
So as you
watch Dash run away,
as you shout, you know, this tree, and swing your fist, it poof, and there's a big kind of hollow kind of like gong that goes through the kind of echoes through the forest. The sounds of like the small sounds of the trees, you know, the wind, the leaves brushing, the insects, all kind of like just goes dead for a second. And you're stood there, probably a bit more intimidating than you intended in the situation, with this just silence like rolling out around you for a good 2 or 3 seconds until pew, an acorn just like one singular acorn just falls and bounces off the top of your head. And then immediately the sounds of the forest start back up again, the trees, the wind, the insects, and etc.
Yeah.
The aim was not to disturb the compass.
Nico, Nate doesn't always think things through. Like how doing things like that could attract the wrong kind of attention, Nay.
or it can bring us more food. Scoop up the acorn.
Yeah.
And that's why you have Dash and I look out for what is happening. And we had Juniper with us, who balanced all of it out.
Yes.
As you keep moving, I think for now.
And then on that note, I would
Yeah.
probably just go up and start scouting.
And
Knowing that could have probably potentially like drawn
Woken up the
some
push
very
bumpers.
scary things towards us. And there's this like deep sigh of like, yeah, there's nothing we can do about this one.
Yeah.
I like to imagine it's the pattern has happened, right? Where you've got Dash moving forward quietly, like it's got sneak, right? Sort of scouting forward quietly. And as he goes out, right, like a wave, that is when Gwenny's coming back in. And then when Gwenny's going out, that's the time when Dash is coming back in. So there's always somebody going out and coming back in at the same time. And I also imagine that there's that sort of moment right at the cross moment where Dash looks up, sees Gwenny looks down and sees Dash, and they both know that neither one has been captured by a mole rat or a mall rat, and like just that kind of like just a little like a sort of regular check-ins right in those ways, and it's always a coming in, check in, going back out without even having to say anything, but there's like a very well-oiled sort of comfortable comfortability about the way that they interact with each other and the way they know how to be out in the wilds with each other. And I think Dash always gives a look when he comes back in. He gives a look to Nay, but he also gives a look to Junior just to sort of acknowledge that we're here and everything's okay. It's like he's sort of incorporating Junior into the team tactics.
Yeah.
And definitely when Gwynny comes back to the group, does a circle around the back. So is also doing the like making sure no one's following us.
Yeah.
So there's the like, it's almost more like a figure eight of like checking the back, checking the front, and like constantly meeting up with the mid as well.
Yeah.
Question.
Yes.
When we were having that little bit of a soiree, has Nico returned back to, as we continue to move along, has Nico returned back to my side but a little bit off, or is Nico further away?
Nico is currently walking with Junior, and who knows whether it was because Gwynny started scouting or because Nay hit a tree. It could be both. But yeah, I'd say like there's no kind of like solid fear there. It's more of a like I don't want to be beside him when he impulsively decides to run off to like try and grab another acorn or something. As you keep moving and you keep going, seeing as this is on the ground and it is very much a it's very much a like ground level small thing. I'm gonna say that unless you feel like a roll is needed, this is something that Dash would happen upon first on your path. Dash, you hear the sounds of like wood kind of like smacking together, and kind of like the rustling of grass of the undergrowth. So you kind of like, well, what do you want to do from that point? Essentially, something is going on in front, ahead of you, a little bit to the left, but close enough on your path currently.
Sounds of. This is a hard question to ask, considering that we're all animals.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask it, and then I will nuance it.
Yeah.
Is it the sounds of nature or the sounds of people? I.e., we are also animals. But I mean, there's a difference between like, the sounds of nature when things happen, or like, there's like some kind of like non-sentient animal doing a thing, or non-sapient animal doing a thing, or there are anthropomorphized animals like us doing something deliberate. Do you know what I mean? What is the vibe?
I would say it doesn't sound like people, it sounds deliberate, and it doesn't sound like just generic nature noises.
So it sounds like deliberate. So I think that, ears down, Dash would go into stealth mode and creep over there to see what it, just like right to see what it is, try to get it within a visual distance to see what it is, and then sneak back out to report back on whatever the thing might be.
So you kind of you creep forward, and you kind of find yourself coming almost nose to trunk with a like fallen log. Kind of a little hollowed out and everything, but you can hear as you get closer, like the sounds are just over this log. So you kind of part the grass a little bit and start to peek over. At this point, I'd like to ask all three of you, because you've been in here multiple times with Juniper in your younger years. How much have you seen in the wilds? Like, how much would surprise you? How much, in terms of like, because there's a lot of weird stuff in here. I'm just trying to gauge whether you would pardon me. I'm trying to gauge whether you would have seen something like this before, or seen entities like what you're about to see.
Question before I give my 2 cents on that. How long again has it been since we last seen Juniper?
About 10 years.
Okay, and then we all, for the most part, stopped doing the outgoing, traveling, all that kind of stuff. More
So-
small niche after that. Okay.
You did
we
still
did go.
Sorry, you did still travel a bit. Especially Dash would do his deliveries, but
Yes.
the
We did do somewhat regular trips into the wilds to try to find her, especially I think in the
Yeah.
that was established by Gwenny, especially in the first 5 years.
Yeah.
I imagine as things went on, we age quickly as animals. We probably did not go in every week, or we have the responsibilities build up, and we can't just go off into the wilds all the time. But we
Right.
certainly were traveling. Yeah, I imagine when we were younger, we didn't have as many responsibilities. We were traveling to the wilds fairly regularly to see if we could find her, right? It was like a thing we would do pretty regularly. And now as we get older and we have all these responsibilities for the community, we can't just run off to the wilds willy-nilly whenever we want to. But Goody did establish that we have continued to travel to try to find her. I just don't think that often in the last,
5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
I want to say 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe like twice a year for the first few years, then like once a year for the next couple.
I
and
think
then
we
it's
were
like-
gone for like at least.
Yeah.
I want to say probably like out of the year, we were probably gone
Yeah.
for a total of 2 months. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
whether that like
Yeah.
each trip was
Yeah.
a month or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we
yeah.
broke it up into
Yeah.
like, okay, 2 weeks, we've heard something.
Yeah.
Let's go let's go do some stuff. And then I think it maybe dwindled after the 5 years to like,
every
maybe a
now and
month.
then. Yeah.
and then it was like after that, again, it dwindled again.
Okay.
Um,
So in terms of seeing everything, how much do you feel? It doesn't have to be precise. Just like we could even do like a 50-50 roll if you feel that would make sense.
I also
was
think that we
picturing-
traveled out here before Juniper got lost. I imagine we
Oh.
traveled a
Yeah.
couple times in the
Yeah.
wild, right? Before we found the mountain tree. And considering how, I mean, I'm not saying anything, but just considering how Gwenny is, clearly we wanted to take in all of the experiences and see all the
Yeah.
things. I really imagine a lot of our early adventures pre-Juniper,
It was more
very much
wide
a
than deep. Like, so you're
Yeah.
kind of going wide, seeing everything you could, and then
we were
doing-
maybe like
Very
a
sense of-
day or two away from home base, but like
Yeah.
didn't. It was just kind of a radius of that.
Yeah. Okay.
and I think a lot
Um,
of the vibe I got from us is a lot of sense of wonder, right? That we're like, oh, what can we see? What are the things? Like really being excited to see new things. And so I think that we ranged widely until we got to the wilds. And we went to the wilds, like just like deeper and deeper. How far can we go? Each
Yeah.
time we go a little bit further, see new things, really like because it's the wanderlust you have, right? You just want to see all this stuff. And I don't think that I think that was very strong. And then Juniper got lost, and then I think it became much more targeted, like we want to try to find her, right? But
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that I think that I mean, I don't know about Nay, but this group feels like it was like, let's go see all the things that we can see, right? Until it became trying to find our lost friend.
So I would say then that we, as of when we had stopped going out and traveling, we probably felt like we'd seen 70% of all there was to see at that point in time. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean it hasn't changed, because I mean everything keeps on growing.
It does. It
And-
does.
And I don't know, and the others can maybe speak on this, but like, I don't know if every trip was always the 4 of us.
Oh yeah.
That like,
Right.
there were different trips that like maybe just Juniper and I went on, or there was trips that just Nay and I went on, or there were trips that just Dash and I went on. Like each and everybody kind of had their own thing that drew them into it. So
I feel like the trip up to the slime pits maybe was just you and Juniper. The
and-
wandering willows.
and our
and
tree,
everything.
and to our tree fort, yeah. Because like, no boys allowed was definitely stamped on the outside
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
tree
yeah,
fort. So
Okay.
And I also imagine before Juniper got, let's just say euphemistically got lost, I imagine we traveled a lot. I imagine we were always out there. One of us, like I can imagine that at any given time, I would imagine it was rarer that all 4 of us would be back in the hearth
yes,
than at least one of us would be out somewhere, right? Like I think that there was a lot of just let's go. Like
Okay.
often I would think if you were saying, Gwenny, that we've gone for 2 months out of the year, we're gone for a whole month maybe, right? These big trips. I imagine leading up to those things were a lot of like day trips, 2 days, like let's go up, 2 days gone. Like just like where can we go and then come back? Like I imagine like because we were young and we had the wanderlust. I imagine there just was a lot of let's just go, right? Let's just go and be free. And I imagine once Dash became an official member of the Long Runners, he didn't get to travel with you all as much, right? That because then he has these responsibilities to do long running. So whenever he wasn't long running, he'd go out with you all again, right? So I imagine that each one of us gets these different kinds of responsibilities that take us away from traveling for fun,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. In that case, I feel like you will indeed know what this is, so I'll describe it as thus. You peek over this trunk onto a battlefield. There are Spriggans. They are around about this big or so. Think like baby Groot, except for in no way cute or anything. And you see a open area that has been cut. That the grass has been cut down and cleared. It is a group of a couple of groups of Spriggans who have taken the field. They have sticks in their hands. Some of them have like a leaf kind of like pinned through like a pointy stick, like a banner. And there is kind of like scuffling and sticks hitting sticks as they're fighting. You see they look a little bit like a cross between a small rat standing up and like a lizard. They've got kind of like these tails, but everything is bark. So they're very like spiky bark, and you can tell that they appear to be from different trees. One set of them seem to be a lot more like soggy and kind of like moldy, rotten. Another set seem to be very like almost shiny in how solid they are. And you can see them kind of one of them streaming out from a little stump a fair ways away, and another set of them are kind of streaming out from this this big like broad oak tree that's just solidly planted there. Obviously they don't see you, and you watch as they kind of strike each other down, and there's a lot of kind of back and forth duels and fighting. And there's a little bit of a push as one of the groups kind of gets a few more of their fellow Spriggans and pushes forward. All of this you watch from essentially above, as they are tiny and yeah.
What are our relations with Spriggans in general? Right?
Right.
Yeah.
So Spriggans are mostly ignore normal animal people and animals. They are spirits of a tree that for whatever reason ends up with just a kind of colony of Spriggans. If there are two close to each other, they'll often end up fighting just because trees of different types don't get along with each other for some reason. It is what it is. I'm going to ask a grown-up question. Oh, sure.
Is this the kind of thing that, because, sometimes there are spirits in ancient Greek mythology, the last thing you ever want is any divine being ever seeing you or thinking about you or paying attention to you, because it never works out well for you if that happens.
Okay.
Is the just you don't want tree spirits paying attention to you, then you get turned into a tree. Are these the kinds of things that we keep a wide berth from, or is this the kind of thing that you could say, we could bring up Junior and Nico and have them observe this and learn something? Is this one of those kinds of things, or is it one of the kind of avoid kinds of things?
As I said, they are about this big, and they use wooden weapons to hit each other with. They are not dangerous. They mostly don't even see regular animals as, or regular animal people, or even animals as existing. It'd be like paying super load of attention to a rock in your path as you're walking. It's like, oh yeah, that's a rock. That's about it. If you like go at them, if you kind of like were to attack them or to try and capture them or something, they'd probably fight back. But essentially, I would call it similar to like for you at least in terms of danger. You're talking like similar to a little pack of ants or something, maybe a little bit more dangerous.
Because you never know when that tree spirits thing come and kill you. So I think that what Dash would do, sort of seeing what it is then head back, and then once we get to the midpoint between the outer edge of our scout zone and the party, which is when Gwenny would sort of be overhead, when we'd be crossing, he'd thump his foot to get her attention, and he would sort of like make a motion that there's something to see, and that he like oh, there's a thing, and then he would sort of come back to the group, figuring that Gwenny would be arriving soon, and he would say, all right, Junior, Nico, we've got something to see up front, waiting for sort of Gwenny to join. And he gives a quick look to Gwenny and Nay, because when he says what he's going to say, he knows that they're going to know what this means, right? But the youngins may not. There's a bit of a Spriggan battle going up front. And so you might want to see it, what it looks like, but you've got to be very quiet and still. You're going to sneak forward, and we're going to see something you've never seen before. And Winnie knows all about Spriggans, so she can give you a few words. As we sneak.
If there's a battle going on, Mr. Dash, surely we should stay away from it. Isn't it dangerous?
Sneak, you'll be fine. I'm not gonna bring you into a battle full of giant ents.
Oh, okay.
These are like cute, adorable little battle.
Oh, okay. I don't know what that means.
You'll find out.
Be historical.
Nico kind of crouches down a little bit and
Junior, when you go over there and observe, Nico, you too, but everybody's a little bit different. You especially, I want you to look at their tactics. You watched what Nay did, and you saw how he used psychological warfare, getting in the mind of that other badger, get him tired. That's why you have to jog. You've got to do running all the time. Conditioning is very important. With this one, I want you to see how they move and how they plan. You're not going to be able to be the best leader unless you know how to move people about. Right?
Yes, Mr. Dash.
Good. Don't poke at them.
I may keep going ahead, if you don't mind. Just see what lays further down the path. I've seen many a Spriggan battle. I don't think there's much I can learn from it anymore, but if you'd like protection, I can stay around.
I think we're okay with protection. We do like to keep the party together as much as possible, but...
Oh, I can find you easy enough.
Where are you going?
Ahead.
What does that even mean?
It means we're
He's
on...
leaving the party.
No.
And he'll be back. He's his
leaving?
own independent lone wolf and doesn't want to stay with us. He doesn't trust our tactics.
I trust you implicitly. Why would I not? However, we are on a path, and it can very much depend what we will end up running into. I thought perhaps I would go ahead a little ways and see what is currently on our path.
Ah, that makes sense. Haha. All right, have
How
fun.
about I scout for you? With you.
If
I'll
you...
make sure you're okay from up above and you can scout down below.
Absolutely. If you feel the explanation of Spriggans can be left to our esteemed colleagues here, I would very happily have you along with me.
I just look at Dash. Like, no words needed. Just look at Dash.
And Dash just gives you a little nod. And there's it's different from the last time, right? The last time when we all got to meet him and everybody seemed a little bit charmed by him. You know what I mean? Not everybody.
I think
Some
Gwynny's
people
still
weren't.
charmed by him, but she's trying to like very hard to like not let him know that, because I think she knows that it went to his head, and she's like, I don't want that.
No, yeah. But it also feels like Gwynny's doing Gwynny's doing the giving good lessons, right? And so he just gives that nod. And the thing is, it's not like a nod that says, yes, go forth. It's more like, oh gosh, I so appreciate you. It's like you just get this little like appreciation nod from Dash that says, oh, thank you, right? Like you could just see it. Gruff outer, but like thank you eyes. You just give a little nod.
And as Electus and Gwynny head off, Electus spins round back towards you and winks and says, "Don't worry, big guy. I'll look after her." Towards Nay.
I don't hear. Do I hear this?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't need someone else taking care of me.
Of course you don't. I was not trying to allay your worries. I was trying to allay his worries. Shall we go?
Without a word, I'm just like
before
up in the air.
I can really, make much more of an uproar.
I'm in the air.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because I'm picturing
Can you kill him? Is that the question?
Can I finally slay this? After he makes me look like a fool in front of everyone. Don't worry, I do this myself as is. That's just Nay's way. No, I think for Nay, really it comes down to the fact that feeling as the protector of the group doesn't mean he always makes the right decisions, but that's what he wants. Is that like, well, if you're not here, I can't provide protection, regardless of how capable or able you are. I can't help. So there's where a lot of that energy goes for. But he's gruff, so he's not going to be like, "Oh, are you gonna be okay?" It's, "Where are you going?"
Yeah.
But with that being said, I'm curious, being that these are Spriggans, which I'm assuming we were learned this or were taught this by Gwenny or Juniper, that we understand what Spriggans are. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Now I have a question, because my weapon is ironwood. Do I also have a connection, or does the ironwood have a connection with tree spirits? To any degree that I know, maybe like I don't know this is a thing, but I'm just curious if I know this as Nay.
You have only ever found one ironwood tree. It is when you got your staff. You have never seen ironwood Spriggans. Those might actually be scary or dangerous, if they exist. But I would imagine, having known Spriggans, like, it's crossed your mind that there are some more weird, rare trees in the wilds. If there were Spriggans, or even like spirits or wisps, there's a lot of weird stuff in the wilds, and a lot of them either live in or inhabit or personify the trees that are in here. So if you find one of those, like, yes, you'd probably want to be careful, just in case there's like ironwood Spriggans. Those would be worrying.
That's what I was curious. So like I was like, if that's the case, like, we need to identify what kind of Spriggans are we looking at if we have to worry about those ones. But it sounds like you've identified that they are on the safer side. And I was curious also if other Spriggans, besides the little battling go on, do they really recognize their identity? So if there was ironwood Spriggans where they would recognize the ironwood weapon in any shape or form, if they found that hellacious, or if they maybe were comforted by the said energy of it.
I would say there's probably been a time where you've taken a stick to use as a walking stick or anything, something along those lines. Like, you've probably come across Spriggans before who were from a similar like type of tree as like a walking stick, or just like a piece of wood used for firewood or something. and they do tend to gravitate towards that wood. So there's likely been a time where you've been walking and you've had a couple of spriggans like clinging onto your stick, not the ironwood stick, but like a walking stick or something along those lines. They resonate with the type of tree or wood that they're from, and they can sometimes hang around it, but yeah.
Perfect. Well, with that being the case, I'm kind of just sitting back after that little bit of a conversation, just kind of
The ironwood would be fine in this instance. You wouldn't expect there to be ironwood spriggans, and we'll say that Dash would be like, like you should be safe basically.
Okay, cool.
And so you all creep up quietly, peek over. The battle is still raging. There doesn't seem to be any progress really. There occasionally I will say that the slightly more solid ones are they seem to be from the oak tree. That's where they're pouring out of, at least. They seem to be a lot more hardy, a bit stronger, a bit more able. But the one from the more kind of soggy, rotten, like tree trunk appear to be a lot more harder to kind of destroy. Essentially, like they could lose an arm, or they could lose like even a head, and they just keep going. So because of that, they are fairly even in terms of being allayed against each other. And yeah, it's just a very small melee, almost like seeing a bunch of ants fighting each other. They're just kind of like bouncing into each other, and there's like screaming. Well, not screaming, but there's like shouting and kind of. There's no discernible language. A lot of it's kind of like bok 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 bok. So there's a lot of kind of like bok 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 bok. Yeah.
And I'll just sort of whisper to Junior, your mother had the green sight, and these creatures are the spirits of the trees. Maybe if you look at them and you look at the trees they're connected to, you might learn something interesting that only you could know.
Learn some. Yeah, they are twigs. They're tiny twigs, tiny swords.
Safi, I think your gate is a little bit high. It's just cutting you off a little bit.
I don't have the green sight, but maybe like, it's like, what's the relationship? Because if these spirits are fighting, what does that mean for the trees that they belong to? And right, like, what is the circle of life here? The natural circle.
Do we know about Nico's?
We don't know if she has it.
Okay, we don't know about that. That's only just in the back of our. Okay, cool.
I think
because
her and Junior have spoken a bit about it, but
that's right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and they're not getting the due. So like the current working theory is like, maybe people with green sight don't get the due on them, which means that stupid Arcturus has got it too. Anyway, you were saying.
I don't see what there is to learn. They are tiny twigs, tiny swords.
You see the life there is very strong, even in the rotten spriggans, let's call them. But it's all kind of connected back to the trunk, to the oak tree, to each of these trees, and it's kind of a swirl. But what you do notice is where the spriggans fall, you can see this kind of like build up of life, this kind of build up of, let's call it energy, kind of like almost like a little green mist just on the battlefield. I won't say for sure, but I think there's enough there for you to think essentially like something will grow there soon.
Seem to merely be fertilizing the ground.
I thought you needed bees for that.
Bees of pollen.
Oh. What's this then?
Pardon?
If bees cause flowers to reproduce,
Yeah.
what's this then?
Savagery.
Oh.
I'm going to try to give a battle analysis for larger tactics or skirmishing tactics, right? To give, or strategy, to give Nico and Junior some insights in terms of like, okay, well, if you're going to be leading people, here's some things to be thinking about. Notice how they do this. Notice how they do this. Notice how these ones seem to be more hardy, and so these ones are like giving them just like
An overview.
But so that like if some of them, I don't know, probably Junior, are going to end up leading people and they have to get into some kind of skirmish, that they can maybe learn from this thing instructionally, as it were.
Yeah. Okay. You spend a little bit of time going over like what's happening, and I will say there is a limited amount you can teach them from the battle tactics of these Spriggans. A lot of it is charge. A lot more of it is hit things, sometimes each other. And yeah, but there are instances of like, you know, a few Spriggans will kind of like just run around the sides and, you know, like hit a flanking movement, or occasionally they'll all bunch together and like push through the ranks and do like kind of a piercing kind of drive through. There's enough there for you to give some insights and give some thoughts.
Or even something along the lines of like, oh, they're just charging over, and here's how you might counter that, right? And I would look to Nay, because Nay always has really interesting different tactics, right? So you know, bringing in my insights, but also always looking to Nay to be like, you know, he's a different kind of fighter, right? So he would have a different kind of insight to bring him into that conversation as well.
Kind of hit him as hard as that one's hitting people.
Well, but Nay's really tricky. That's the thing about Nay. You know what I mean? Like Nay always, like, he looks like he's the kind of person who's like, I'm just gonna hit you hard, and then he's like, yeah, actually I'm gonna wear you out, and then I'm gonna, right? He's very, very tactically really smart, and it's got great wits about him. And we just had a whole conversation where people were saying some things, Nico. And so like this is also a moment where Dash is wanting to open up a space so that Nico can see Nay differently. As well.
Yeah, I think the only thing Nico really took from the last fight, she didn't really take the whole tactics or anything. She took the big animal beats other big animal in a test of strength.
And I also know that Nay was upset about the thing because of the log, and Dash knows that Nay is really smart and has got great wits about him, but it just doesn't look like it does for other creatures because he doesn't telegraph it in the same way, but he is so tricky, right? And so this is this moment where Dash is wanting to give the instruction to the youngins, but also wants to affirm his best friend Nay and Nay's expertise.
Yeah.
For Nay, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Not for them, but for Nay, so that Nay knows that I know, right? But without saying it, because you know how communicative we are.
As you are kind of going over a little bit of strategy, going over like maybe there's a couple of Spriggans who are just a bit more kind of, you know, they last longer, you know, they manage to kind of like stand out on the battlefield, as it were, like showing how they learn as they go, and you know, they start to use some feint tactics and things like that. Gwynny, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay. We'll just slide quickly over to Gwynny and Electus, as they are. I'm assuming you're not doing a big high scout. You're kind of like flying through the.
I'm staying pretty low.
Under the canopy.
Yeah, under the canopy. I don't really want to go above the. I'm more just keeping an eye on him
Yeah.
because I'm curious to see like what he was planning to do. So, yeah.
And he says, so, I feel way too informal calling you Gwynny, but do you mind?
Why would that be informal? That's what everybody calls me.
Oh, of course, but I am just a guide. I'm not part of your team, as it were.
Well, that's why we didn't want you going off alone, is you are a part of it in a way.
You're too gracious. I was wondering, have you... How close to the mountain tree have you got before? Do you know?
Close?
Do you remember the paths you took when you got close? So I'm going to throw out a little bit more information. As you go through the wilds, you'll find paths. They are a little bit clearer, like the ground is a little more clear. It kind of looks like an animal, animal tracks in the woods and stuff. It looks a little bit like that. Generally speaking, you tend to follow a path, unless you're feeling adventurous and you can just go off wherever you are.
Right.
As you follow a path, it will be different every time. You'll run into different things. It's possible that everything moves in the wilds, or it's possible that there's some weird ass magic that just causes the path to shift and
Change. And how
change.
close, to remind me how close we got to the mountain tree last time.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
It seemed a lot closer, but it could have been another 2 weeks travel away.
Okay.
You could
depending on the paths, depending on.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I will say that there was a point as you were traveling where you tasted metal in the air. That was something that you would remember.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe even there was a bit of rumbling on your on your feet, on your paws, things like that. So
Okay.
you think you were pretty close.
We've tried to map out our path we took last time, but with the forest always changing.
Oh, it's difficult to map out. After a while on a path, you can start to notice things that will remind you. Maybe a specific path comes to your mind as you're traveling it. I was just wondering if any of this so far seems familiar to you.
No.
I'm
Familiar enough of the journey
Hmm?
with the outcome, but no specific landmarks or small things that are popping out.
Okay. I am starting to suspect I've run this path a few times. I'm not completely sure, and I would very much prefer not to take the forefront in this particular part of the path we're on.
You're trying to avoid something.
It really depends whether she is still guarding the trunk.
Ooh.
I don't know what her name is. But,
Could you describe her for me?
A mixture of light green and slightly golden green, a very wild, leafy hair, kind of in the visage of possibly a female hare, possibly a female otter. it shifts a bit. You've run into dryads before, yes?
Yes.
She's one of those. All leaves and swirling around, you know. I'm not completely sure. I think we may be coming up upon the library.
We've never come across a library.
Oh, you've never... Oh. Yes, it is, I've never gone inside. I don't...
Why wouldn't you? A
Uh,
library in the wilds? Imagine what books they have. What knowledge they have. They could have had maps to help you.
yes.
And you wouldn't use those resources?
Unfortunately, I got into a disagreement with the dryad outside, and it became a bit of an issue. I had to move on.
I see.
It
Well,
may...
I think we...
It may be worthwhile getting your friends, and it may be worth me skirting this particular next part if it is indeed what I suspected. Would you be a dear and go ahead, see if it is indeed the stump?
I can check, but I have a question for you.
Yes, of course.
Have you come across many other mice on your adventures out here around the tree?
By themselves?
Yes.
Just myself. I don't think I count in this example.
No. A female mouse.
I don't believe so. I'm sure I'd remember.
She's hard to forget.
Aren't we all?
Yes. Yes. You want me to check if it's the stump with this dryad that you aren't friendly with?
It would just be better for your group if I wasn't there, if this is the path we're on.
Well, we don't abandon our party members, so we should maybe navigate that instead. But we don't abandon people, especially in the wilds.
No, I would merely take a slight diversion around and away, if this is indeed the path I think it is.
Okay. I'm still not comfortable leaving you in the wilds alone, but,
Well, if one of you doesn't want to,
but it's a library.
it is a library. There's this, just a whole load of books, really.
Just a whole load of books.
Isn't that what a library is?
Oh, books are more than just a whole load of books.
Okay.
Okay.
Gwynny cannot understand the idea of just a whole load of books.
Yeah.
There's just this like absolute like deadpan stare of like, you take that back or change your mind, and I'm not going to try and convince you, but you just need to change your mind right now.
I don't think he's realized he's made a faux pas, so he's going to kind of keep going down the path. You probably noticed that he is a little more hesitant, like pushing through some of the undergrowth and stuff, just kind of peeking around it as he goes, so appears to be trying not to be taken by surprise.
Okay.
Question, do you go further ahead or do you stick with him?
If he told me to check out if he told me to check out if it's the stump and the curiosity of the library, I probably would be hard pressed to not
Okay.
go do a little bit of exploring, but I wouldn't want to be too far that I can't like hear or see what's happening.
Okay. I would say yes. Fairly quickly, as you push forward, you manage to see kind of further down through the trees. There's a fairly kind of like conspicuous opening further down, like, you know, kind of peeking through the trees and everything. It is sunny. It is light. There is not that tinge of green, and it appears to be like a field of kind of, you know, like just regular daisies and things like that. You can see a kind of about maybe twice the size of Nay, like trunk of a tree that's kind of like ripped away or ripped apart, you know, kind of a bit jagged. So at the very least, there is a trunk of a tree.
Okay. And do I see like smoke coming out of it? Do I see any movement around it, or just this?
No, not really.
Okay. Then I'll come back.
Okay.
And
so what's ahead?
Very large stump.
Very in a field of daisies. All right. Well, why don't we head back to the others? They've probably already set off and are on their way down the path already. We can convene with them and see what they think.
Okay.
All right. Very good job, Gwynny, and thank you for scouting for me.
Of course.
Look, hater.
We have to stick together. We have to stick together.
Like flapping. She's like, bet you used magazines as toilet paper, you heathen.
yeah, just there's this like seething rage of what do you mean you don't like books?
Yeah.
My friends like books. Nay carries all of the books for me.
In that case, if everyone's happy with it, the rest of the group will be walking further down the path, having had the bit with the Spriggans, and will be rejoined by the other two, essentially informing you of what they've seen and everything. I think it would be worth Gwynny giving an outline of, you know, essentially what has happened, because Sheepy needs to go pee very quickly.
Oh. Winnie?
There's a library
Oh.
in a field of daisies with a dryad.
Oh.
There's a library in the middle of the wilds.
We'll have to go.
Aw.
We have to go.
Absolutely. There's probably knowledge in there that's important.
And maps. That's what I said. Maps and knowledge and things are very important. Why you would never avoid a library.
But also, libraries have librarians.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly.
We already have our own librarian here.
What I meant was that librarians are people you can ask questions to. People come in and out of libraries all the time. It's the place where you... libraries and taverns. That's where you get all the information.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yes.
See? I knew it. She's a librarian. What'd I say?
What's your question?
I believe that's what's called sarcasm.
I don't really have one.
Well,
I
it's
do.
not very nice of you to tempt me with a question and not have a question. You know I like answering questions.
Winnie,
Mhm.
I had a thought.
Okay.
What do you think about this idea? Traveling library.
That's what Neo has on his back.
No, I meant officially. Like, you could be a traveling library. Like, I bring packages and letters from place to place. You could bring books and knowledge from place to place. And then share books with the little ones and tell them things. You could be like a traveling, because you just know so much, Winnie, and I imagine it would be pretty amazing if you had like a cart of books, like in a mobile book, a book mobile cart. Well, really, nay. And then you could go from settlement to settlement, and you could share books and tell them knowledge, and then you can gain knowledge, and it'd be mixing both of the things you love so much. Traveling, but also books. You wouldn't have to keep the books in one place. You could take the books with you.
Well, Nay, will you carry them for me?
Whatever you say.
As long as I'm doing it with all of you, we're on a journey right now.
Well, I didn't mean right now. I just meant in the future. I was just thinking about how that could be
Wow.
nice.
Maybe, but we don't know what the future holds when we get Juniper back.
That's true. We'll have to ask her what she thinks.
Well, if you do want to find this library again, I suggest you, another time you come to visit the wilds, you bring me along as well. This appears to be one of the paths that consistently gets in my way.
Well, we're going to stop by it right now.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, I should probably skirt
He
around.
has an issue with the dryad.
Oh, just a little history. I should skirt
Your
her.
girlfriend?
No. I should.
If you offend her,
No.
well, then what's the problem?
It would just get complicated if I was there, and
Girlfriend, see?
I'm not allowed into the library.
What did you do to the books?
I did nothing to. I have never been in the library. I was trying to gain access to it, and access was denied to me.
What did
Why?
you do to the books? No
I did
librarian.
nothing to the books.
No librarian is ever going to deny access to somebody to books
I'm
unless.
sorry, but that is not a librarian. That is a very, very rude leaf.
Me? Well, that's a...
So
feel like-
that's why you got denied. Is you are not very nice to other creatures.
I am perfectly polite and proper. We just did not see eye to eye. That is all.
Did you throw dirt in her face?
I did not throw dirt in her face, young man.
Is it because you're so short you can't see eye to eye?
No, that's good. That's a good one.
I just think it will go a lot smoother for you if I skirt around this particular bump in the road and rejoin you on the other side. You can go and visit the library without any issues.
Well, one moment. There's two things here. One, teams stick together.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, that's obvious.
That's what
and
I've
two-
been saying.
I'm listening to you. The second thing is, there's some intelligence you're not giving us. If this group's going to go into a situation, we need to have all the information, and you have information, you're holding it back. What do we need to know? Why? What?
Just don't argue. Don't disagree. Just be polite and everything will be fine. That's all I can give you. I've been there a couple of times and it has never ended well. I just walk around it at this point. It keeps popping up in front of me.
That means you must have something that's important for you to deal with. Maybe you need to apologize. If the wilds give you this place each time, that means it's doing so for a purpose, and it's not just to poke at you. You probably have to make amends.
Oh. Nay's just like dumbfounded, like, it's so deep. Oh.
If you are all insistent on me coming with you, I do not avoid it for my sake, aside from being vaguely annoyed about it. Merely for yours.
Seems like an excuse.
I believe if he does not wish to come, we should not force him.
Fair enough.
We would not be fighting this hard.
All right, you, shiny hat fellow. You and I will stick together outside of the library, and all those who need
You're
the
gonna miss
knowledge
out on the
go inside.
books?
You'll tell me all about it.
Yeah.
You need Nay to go in case you get to take books out and you need something carried. And I'll just stick with Arcturus on the outside.
Electus? Arcturus is my great grandfather. Yes.
All right, great. Let's go.
All right, and you all head off. As you get closer, Electus and Dash take a little detour out into the deeper forest and away, kind of circle round, and you walk out to the into the daisies, essentially, and up towards the stump tree, where as you walk towards it, a swift breeze kind of kicks up, and kind of maybe out of nowhere, maybe out from the trunk of the tree, this kind of swirling wind carrying a whole load of leaves kind of like swirls around, and then suddenly in front of you, kind of forming out of these leaves, is... The best way to describe it is she looks like an otter, but she also looks like a rabbit. Like the features shift very slightly, feminine, but very unclear exactly what species she is. She has like a few leaves that either drift around her or you know, like her hair is very I mean, it's all leaves basically is the best way I could describe this. But there is a form, there is a solidness to her figure and to her face and everything. And she says, welcome back.
Back?
Yes, you've been here before.
I'm sorry, you might be mistaken. I would remember a library like this.
This is not your first time in the forest.
Oh, no, not our first time in the forest, but our first time here. I'm Quinny.
Greetings.
I pushed Junior forward.
And this is our adventuring party, -2.
Two are not with you.
Dash and Electus. He did not say that. He said that you were not very on the very best of friendly terms, so he did not want to upset you.
He is not welcome here. We do not allow him into the library.
But are we welcome here?
The Dryad, like, looks at Nico, who is right now cowering behind Nay, 100%, like, peeking out. and looks at all of you, but lingers on Junior. Hello, little mouse.
Tomorrow.
What is your name?
Junior.
Junior. Do you wish to enter the library?
Is this invitation offered solely to myself or to my party?
This is not an invitation. It is a question.
Does the parameters of this question extend to myself or to the rest of the party?
A simple yes or no will suffice.
If it's with my party, yes. Without them, no.
Well, then we appear to have hit an impasse. I wish to know whether you want to enter the library. You have not given me an answer. You have merely stated you wish to stay with your party. You can do so in the library or outside.
Okay. No, I do not wish to enter your library. I have no great interest, even though there may be valuable information there. This is not where I'm headed. I would draw more in the paths to find the mountain tree, so no, I do not wish to enter your library.
Do I get the sensation that Gwynny is like puffing up with feathers of like...
and like there's like chirping.
Yeah.
Like her beak's clearly like opening and closed. Like she's trying
Like
to
clack,
like
clack, clack.
wanting to talk, but then also knows that the dryad is not talking to her. And she's like, Junior, we have to get in this library. Like we have to.
And I'm just picking up on Gwynny's anxiousness, so I'm over here like, I'm just huffing and puffing because I can tell that she's like bouncing around.
And the dryad kind of looks back and forth between this little kerfuffle and then looks at Junior and says, if you do not wish to enter, you will not enter.
That is no fur of my back. I does not displeasure me in any way.
You remind me of someone. I don't like them.
If it's Aloveticus or whatever his name, if it's him, then we are alike in some ways, but not all. He's not nearly as dashing.
Well, I came to open the way if you desired to go into the library. However, you do not wish to, so...
But I desire to go in the library.
Gwynny desires to go in the library, though.
My apologies, little owl. Your desires are unimportant.
Unimportant?
Please, do have a good day.
We shall have a good day when you apologize to Miss Gwynny here. I shall not stand for such rudeness. If you wish to speak clearly to me, then you may do so. Miss Gwynny has been nothing but polite to you, and you shall return the favor.
Why can't I go in the library? Why am I unimportant?
You are not. Do not let this person, this dryad, who's not known you or your brilliant mind, make you think you're anything less than brilliant. That is what you are. Don't take their comments to heart.
Thank you, Junior.
I have my duty to the tree. And the same way that a branch will bend to the wind, so I must bend to the wind. And as eager as you are, small owl, you are not the wind.
I can be the wind.
Some things are just impossible.
Sounds like a loser's response.
I fly on the wind. I work with the wind.
But
I
you,
know the wind.
She is the wind.
but you are not the wind. And then the Dryad looks at Nico for maybe a second or so, and then looks at Junior and says, "He is."
Well, if you so bend for the wind, then the wind commands you to open the door for Gwynny.
Do you wish to enter the library?
When he like looks at you, like with like you've never seen bigger eyes in your life, but it's also like,
If you do not wish to go, Junior, do not let my hopes and wishes persuade you of anything different.
Junior's gonna turn back to the Dryad. You mentioned the tree.
Yes.
Mountain tree?
Yes. Sorry if that didn't come through. Yes.
Where might we find it?
Follow the mouse. He's been there before.
You've been there before? Junior, why didn't you say so?
Not me.
I think she means Electus, Nay.
Oh, thanks, Nico.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, yeah.
I wish to enter the library.
Then enter. And be cautious. She is very high strung. And the tree trunk in front of you kind of like twists a bit and turns, and this like opening opens. You see kind of these big stone steps leading down into darkness. And the Dryad kind of like swirls away slowly and kind of like almost like sand in those scenes where the sand like people kind of drift into dust. It's a bit like that. Like the leaves slowly like get blown away from head to toe. And she's gone.
The door is open. Whether you wish to go in or not is your choice.
I'm looking around at everybody else.
Nay, are you? What? Who is staying out here?
Now, am I able to fit inside this passageway?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, okay. Then
Junior, Nico?
Nico? I'm sorry. Junior, are you staying up here?
You don't know if going in here is wise. You enter somewhere where someone does not treat us all as equals. Don't
But there
wish
could
you
be-
rated.
There could be information. It's a library. I would expect maybe for sure there to be information.
That Electus has already been to the tree many times. Or is there for us to know?
I don't think he's ever been in. That's what he said to me.
The library, no, but the mountain tree, yes. But not our goal.
But what if there's info about how to find lost people?
If you don't have the answers, you search for the answers. I
I
rely
mean,
on
you all
her.
can stay here, but books have never strayed me wrong before.
This is what you want.
I want to check.
We should go.
You can. Do you all want to stay out here?
I should come with you.
How are you going to carry them all? You're not going to just take one book.
Well,
I shall have to ration her.
they might not let me take books out, because how do we bring them back if we can't find it here?
I'll have to see if they have a returns policy.
And you head down?
Yep.
Yeah, in just bewilderment, I just don't even answer. I'm still
Yes.
stuck trying to think about it.
So as you all head down into the trunk, darkness envelops you to but you can, pull out a torch or something, have like a fire going down. So we'll do a very, very quick smash cut, unless obviously something else happens. But I just wanted to highlight the fact that at this point, Dash and Electus are probably sat in a clearing somewhere. Like faced away from each other on like each on a different log or something, just in complete silence, just kind of didn't think this one through.
Oh, I'm looking at him the entire time.
Okay. So
yeah, I'm not. He can face away from me if he wants to, but I'm looking at him the entire time.
In that case, should we have like a very small like stone pit fire, and both of you kind of sat on like a log or two, and just kind of like Alexis is like staring into the fire, just kind of off a little bit in his own world, and you're just sat there like puffing on a pipe and staring at him. Complete silence.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Just looking at him. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while you might hear. Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm going to flourish a little bit here, where Alexis, like, every now and then will, like, kind of not snap out of it, but just kind of like look up, kind of look around a little bit, see Dash like staring at him, and like give a smile, little ting of the teeth, and then kind of go back to.
I study him intently.
Unless there's anything else, we could probably slide cut back. I
just be in the awkwardness for a little bit longer. Just
okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Just a moment more. All right, and we slide over to you walking down, finally coming out into this massive stone underground, essentially a vault. It's a hall. It's a cave. It's a cavern. It's a big cavern. It is big, and it is filled all over with books. We're talking stacks on stacks on stacks. They are strewn everywhere in piles. There's no...
My organization system!
I recognize this look.
And in the dark, you hear a woof, 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 as the light you have is like snuffed out by a big like buffet of wind. You all kind of, I'd say maybe aside from Nate, you all get a little bit kind of jarred by it. As the light goes out, you see there are actually like very slight emanations of light along the cavern. It's enough to give this little kind of like blue glow to it. It appears to be like maybe gems or something, like riveted into the walls, into the stone. Enough for you to see. I'd say probably the largest owl you've seen in your life, any of you. Would anyone know what a great grey owl is?
I might from my books
Very large.
and from like stories of heritage of owls.
I mean, for you all as players, like yourselves.
Yes.
So a great grey owl, I will actually throw it to you, just so you can see what you're currently considering. I would say this owl is probably maybe like 4 or 5 times larger than Nay. And for those who can't see, it's one of those owls that has almost like soup plate eyes, you know, the that type of thing. Tell you what, for the people watching either on the VOD or I will throw it in the Overgrown chat in the Discord, so you can also see what we're talking about here. I find this thing a little bit difficult to describe, aside from being massive.
I would say like think of a barn owl but bigger and gray
Grey
and white.
and these big kind of like soup plates circles
Yeah.
around each eye.
Yeah.
And it lands in front of you and immediately says, "No fire. What, are you insane? No fire in a library. No fire."
I turn around to like look at whoever's got the torch.
Oh, it's been blown out at this point.
Okay, good. I'm like,
Yeah, who's currently holding the smoldering one? Because I'm assuming, like myself, I wouldn't use it because I prefer to have the
Yeah.
darkness.
yeah, same
So,
here.
I'd
Would
say
have been like Nico, maybe.
I'd say
Or-
probably Nico, yeah. And Nico like hides the slightly smoldering thing behind her
Okay.
back and then yelps a bit as she like singes her tail. Ah! Ah! And the owl carries on. I'm sorry, rude. I'm rude, but no fire. No fire here. Library, no fire. Who are you?
I'm Quinny, and
Oh!
this is Nay.
Owl.
And
Oh,
Nico.
owl. Another owl. Like me owl, but small owl.
You are you are a very large owl.
Yes, large owl. Large owl. Aurelia.
Aurelia. Nice to meet you, Aurelia. I'm as I was saying, I'm Quinny.
Gwynny.
This is Nay
Nay.
and Nico and Junior over there eating the candied walnut.
Junior over there eating the candied walnuts.
Would you like one?
I do
I
I
am not.
do make candied walnuts
I'm not
and
hungry.
acorns.
I won't have a junior, thank you.
No, we don't eat
Maybe later.
Junior.
No,
Mm-mm. No, they're
but
they're
tasty.
called candied walnuts. This is our
Right.
adventuring party, and
Put my arm around a little bit.
so
to, like,
none of them are snacks.
Right.
Hmm.
Too big for you anyway. About bite size for me. Tasty. Good tasty.
Hmm. But again, not snacks.
I feel now that there's more people behind me than before.
Yeah. So you're here to read, yes? Read?
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
Are you here to stay and read? Stay and read. You'll stay and read.
Can I take out and read?
No. No books leave. No books leave. You stay and you read.
That could be forever.
Yes. Read forever. Stay forever. Stay and read.
How long have you been here? Forever?
Yes. Forever. Stay. Collect books. Sometimes I leave to find books, and then I bring books here.
I do the same thing.
Stay.
My library is much smaller than yours.
I have had time. I have collected books. These are my books. I have found them.
Do you have any maps?
Yes, maps. Maps. Books.
The
Tomes,
wilds?
Scrolls. Wilds? This is the wilds.
Yes. Maps of the wilds?
No maps of wilds. Wilds is wild. Maps don't.
Books
No.
on
maps
Mountain
work.
Tree?
Mountain Tree. Have seen the Mountain Tree. Have tried to
It's-
go to the Mountain Tree. But no books at Mountain Tree.
Books about Mountain Tree?
Books about Mountain Tree. Animals unable to find Mountain Tree, look for Mountain Tree. Some find Mountain Tree, never return.
We're trying to find somebody who went to the Mountain Tree.
I went to the Mountain Tree.
We're looking for someone and I point to Junior.
Tasty.
What? You ate her?
No. He is there. I have not eaten him.
We're looking for someone similar to him.
Yes. Mountain Tree.
Your organizational system
I-
looks similar to mine.
I collect books. I leave books here. I stay here.
Can I just get lost and take a look around and see if the organizational system is similar to mine, if it's different to mine, if it's there are books in all different languages?
Everything is everywhere. That's all I can
Okay.
give you. There is no organizational system.
I'm just kerfuffled now. I heard that someone potentially ate my friend, and so now I'm just upset.
Stripe Dog. Is something wrong, Stripe Dog?
Yes. Did you eat my friend?
Your friends are here. I have not eaten any.
You
Although
said
they look
you
tasty.
went to tree. Big
I-
tree, travel tree.
I did go to Big Tree. Mountain Tree.
And then we were asked, did you eat said mouse at tree?
No, Mouse is there. Didn't eat Mouse.
Different mouse.
Other mouse. Other mouse.
Other Mouse. Mouse at Mountain Tree.
Yes.
Is there a mouse at the Mountain Tree?
I saw Mouse at Mountain Tree.
What did mouse look like?
Like a mouse. Tasty.
Alive?
Alive.
When?
Still alive.
Sorry, you guys are killing me by matching the speech pattern is killing me so much. Sorry.
My favorite is just Sappy being like, and I'm just gonna snack through the whole thing.
Yeah. I was keeping it together as best I can, but when you both started working in unison with the mouse, where mouse? Mountain tree. Oh, what a silly conversation. Sorry, what was the last question?
Is the mouse still there?
Might
It was
still.
alive, was the question, yeah.
Yeah. Was alive. Still there? Maybe.
How long?
Years? Days? Weeks? Years? Yeah?
Can you
Yes.
tell time anymore?
No time here. Just books.
You start to see Winnie's shoulders kind of drooping. There's this exhaustion, just weight.
Mm.
As she's just kind of trying to take it in and peek at the books and see if there's anything interesting she can see.
You can read books. You can stay and read books. Lots of books. Enough for lifetimes.
I want to stay.
You should
But-
stay then and read.
But can I come back? The dryad told me outside I was not the wind.
You're not the wind.
How do I become the wind?
Some things are impossible. You aren't the wind.
Are you?
Can you
Me? No, not wind. Owl. I'm owl.
That was a lot of wind just a moment ago.
But Junior is mouse,
Yes.
not the wind.
Mouse is wind. You can see wind. You look. You see. Fox too. White,
Oh.
white one.
Do you have a book on the wind?
Probably.
Where?
In library. All books in library. You read. You find.
What called? What is the book called?
I do not know.
You don't have your books memorized.
I don't know what any of the books are called.
But why?
I don't read them.
Okay.
And then I kind of motion over to Gwenny. I don't like this.
You don't like this?
The path here opens for you. Come with the wind, you may enter. Do not come with the wind, you may not. Even with the wind, you may never find this place again. You can stay, you can read. You can read for as long as you like. Books do not leave. You may.
But I can't leave my friends.
They can stay here too.
We need to find somebody.
Then you can leave. Maybe you come back. Maybe you can enter again. It does not matter. I will find books.
Books you don't know.
I don't read books.
Yeah. Learn that real quick. As you can tell, the agitation's there for Nay big time.
I'm gonna quickly just read over the titles of the book stack next to me. Hoping to maybe glimpse an eye of something, but you can see pretty evidently Gwenny's lost a lot of her hope of finding answers here.
The first one you look at is called Martin the Hero, and the Warlord Wildcat. You don't know dates, so it's kind of difficult. But it appears to be extremely old in terms of yeah.
I'm sorry. There might not be answers without a lot of time.
You have time. You can stay.
We do not, unfortunately.
Then you should go.
Yes.
Then I will go.
Where will you go?
To find more books. I must find the books. I must bring them here.
Yeah, but you don't read.
I
If you
don't read.
do you ever go to what's the name of our town again?
The Hearth?
Do you ever go to the Hearth?
What is that?
Nothing.
Then no, I do not go to nothing.
Thank you.
I have not done anything. Except for gather books, and for that you are welcome.
At this point in time, because my agitation has gotten so much with what's happening, I can pick up on the lost positivity, the lost hope of Gwenny. And I'm looking both at Junior and Nico, seeing if anything to them is kind of sticking out. And so I'm kind of like nudging them for some kind of answer, hoping that maybe they can pick up on something because they're this supposed cool wind or this magical something or other. And so I'm just kind of like, I don't know how to ask the question right to them. So I'm just kind of like nudging them, hoping that gets them to kind of be like, oh, hey.
I believe we should take our leave now.
Yes, I think if Miss Gwynny does not want to stay, then we should head back up and carry on our journey. Quickly, maybe.
I agree.
Lead the way.
And you turn away, start walking up the stairs. Gwynny, do you look back?
Oh, 100%. Like, I'm imagining like the party is halfway up the stairs before she even starts walking.
Okay. You look back, you see the books, all there, piles and piles. If I was to give you an estimate of what you could see, thousands.
Yeah.
Probably more further back into the darkness of the hall.
And Gwenny knows what she's walking away from.
I almost picture she's like even like perched and still.
Oh, no. I let you guys go ahead. I'm on my own.
Oh, okay, you didn't even.
So, I'm going to fade and cut very slightly to you rejoining the two stoic Sallys. And essentially, there is a reunion. You tell each other what has happened and what you've experienced. I think you did.
I imagine right before they arrived, Dash is right about just to actually say something to this guy or ask him a question, just right
Like-
about. But then everybody arrives, so then it doesn't.
Like you open
It's just
your,
like it's just that. But yeah.
you open your mouth, you inhale, and Electus goes, "Oh, they're back!" And they kind of walk through it. I'm gonna slide forward a bit more in time to all of you walking. There's actually going to be a bit of a montagey time skip here in a second. However, before that happens, Gwynny, are you on Nay on the perch?
After the library? No.
Okay.
I think that Gwenny would have been like, I'm going to scout. Like, I
Yeah.
need to be alone.
In that case,
And Dash will be double scouting, and so they
Yeah.
only see each other in that crossing moment. He always just looks up at you, gives you a look as you do the cross.
And there is the like acknowledgement, but like there is a very obvious shift in Gwenny.
And it's always, and like I think Gwenny can tell that when Dash looks up, like Dash is not saying anything because distance, but is like wanting to like give you vibes, but doesn't know which vibes to give. It's just like rather than like the regular kind of like and acknowledge, move on. It's like acknowledge, right? And you can just tell that he's wanting to. He doesn't know the right thing to do or say, so he's doing what he always does, but you can tell that he wants you to know that he knows something, but he doesn't know anything. Right? It's that kind of like, it's just that little thing. You know it.
Yep.
At one point, as you kind of circle back, you see Nico like waving at you. Miss Winnie.
Yes, Nico.
As you come out. I don't know whether you land on
Yes.
Nay or like nearby.
Nearby, probably. She's like, you can, like, she very much is not looking to get very close at the moment to anybody.
Nico kind of reaches back to her pack and like brings it forward in front of her, like flips open the bag and pulls out a book. She says, I only got one, but it's something. And she kind of like proffers it forward to you.
You stole a book?
Maybe a little bit. I thought it was a little bit mean that you weren't allowed to take any books, so I thought maybe just one would be okay. And he didn't she didn't notice anyway, so. And she kind of like proffers it towards you. I don't know what it is. I can't read.
Thank you.
Do you want to read the title?
Oh, 100%.
101 different ways to whittle wood whistles.
And it's like the most precious thing to Gwynny.
Thank you.
I hope it's useful. I just took a guess. But I think my eyes are working a lot better since we've been in the wilds, because this one called to me. I think it's special.
You're special.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And like, Gwynny's just going to take the book and go back to her perch and open it up.
Yeah.
Remember, Nico, that wasn't stealing. You were collecting.
Did very much seem
This
like
book belongs in a museum.
I think it was still stealing though, Mr. Nay. But it can be collecting too. It can be two things.
Oh, in that case, we better hope the owl hasn't noticed. We should probably put some distance between us and there.
I'm pretty sure she can't read either.
I know. But she likes to eat mice, and I'd rather not.
That is true, and that may extend to foxes. Okay. And Alexis is like at the front saying, like, I told you wouldn't have enjoyed going in there. It really is a horrible place. Not that I know, not that I've ever been in there, but and you probably get an idea of like what exactly happened whereby he wasn't allowed in, and the argument and etc. It was probably very similar to what happened with Junior. There is from this point a montage of a few days of travel, and we'll snapshot to a couple of things. There is a time where there is a heavy storm and you have to kind of like huddle under these like big kind of logs and stuff and try and set up a little bit of a tent kind of canopy type shelter. And just kind of, you know, there's a small little fire, you're all huddled around, and you can like hear the rain like off the top of it, and like some like rumblings in the distance. There's another time where we see all of you like hid in the undergrowth by this kind of like behind this kind of like set of trees, as like crashing and stomping is this giant forest troll. Forest trolls are fully like stone, like they're craggy, they're mossy, they just kind of lumber around, and they're a bit like a T-Rex in Jurassic Park, at least. They can't really see anything if it's not moving. Even when it does, they're a bit blind. But always worth staying quiet when they're around, so you kind of all there in the long grass. As time goes on, you sleep, you eat, you talk. I imagine that aside from anything else, there's definitely more warmth between Quinny and Nico at this point. I think that relationship there is solidified into not that it wasn't there before, but I feel like it you know, a Gwynny will remember that popped up, and
Gwynny will remember that 100%.
You know, Dash just keeps over time just keeps trying to get Iteratus to tell stories, because Iteratus is a bit of a mystery, and some people, I'm not going to say who, may not trust him. I don't know who that might be who may not trust him.
It could be anyone.
It really could be anyone. And so just getting to try to tell stories, so I can try to figure out, you know.
You get a few stories, like the time he caught a pike in the lake. A big thing, like about 7-8 times the length of Nay, like laid on the floor. He talks about the time where he found a path that looped in on itself, and it took him about 2 weeks to realize he'd been going around in a big circle, and just like the path was like go around and then loop back, and he's like, it's, you know, sometimes you just don't realize, like.
So Dash is getting him to tell stories. He figures he'd love to tell stories about himself. He seems like that kind of person who just likes to brag about himself.
Yeah, like
And
Dash. Yeah.
Dash, no, Dash is totally different. Dash is trying to figure out, like, what does he do for a living? Where does this guy live? Who is this guy? Like, he just like, who are you, right? He doesn't say that out loud, but he's just like, he's trying to like figure out, like, I've never met you. I don't know anyone. Like, he's just trying to figure, like, does he, like, where? We know his job is theoretically being a tour guide to the wilds, I guess, but like, who is his family? Who is his community? Like, it's trying to figure out, like, trying to place him.
I can give you one
in
thing.
the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, and also trying to figure out how much of a liar he is, and also bad influence. Just again, that's a theoretical thing, you know, like theoretically you might want to try to figure out, like, whether that fish was actually a real fish tail, or, you know, some people might just think he might be a bit of a charlatan.
If you would like if you would like to roll, feel free, but I can give you a few pieces of information regardless. In all of his stories, he never mentions any companions. It doesn't mean then they aren't people with him, but he never mentions. All of his stories just involve things he's done himself. Occasionally it'll be like, I was taking a group through, and, you know, this happened. I can say, as far as off the, you know, just like a smell test, he appears to be telling the truth.
Yeah,
and he actually smells all right.
I don't have a very high cunning, so I'm not really good at, like, seeing through lies.
You can try.
So I'm just like, like, I just note it, and you can just, if there's just like a bit of a grump to him, he's just kind of like, this guy seems like a loner, right? And he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
That's all. He doesn't like loners who just go off by themselves and don't.
Yeah.
Part of a team.
I have a question.
Yes.
In this process, as we are going along, does it really feel like he's being a tour guide to us, or do we just feel like he exists along as we are still venturing? That's why I'm kind of curious on that vibe.
I'd say for all of you in general, he appears to be very at home here. For Junior specifically, the best way I can describe it is he glows here in a way he doesn't back when you met him. So, unless anyone would like to press him further, or
no. How does everybody else in the group interact with him over these next couple of days? Like, what's, you know, how are people how is the rest of the group interacting with him? You know how Dash is interacting with him. Oh, by the way, Dash does push-ups in the morning just to get himself, ready. He gets probably does some with Nay.
Electus fully just rolls out of bed and attacks the day, like no warm-ups, no training, no.
I picture Dash doing push-ups on my back as I'm doing push-ups.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to know how the rest of the group hangs out with this guy.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I would say from Electus's point of view, he is a mixture of instructional and reasonably friendly with Junior, and with Nico to a degree, but less so. Very jovial with Nay in a kind of like not intimidated, not worried, but just kind of like, yeah, this seems like a nice enough guy. I would say just generally how he's been with Gwynny continues charming. I'd say there's a little bit more tact, maybe. Just purely because he heard about the library and he's not completely blind to someone being a bit upset or down in the dumps. Although some of that I feel has been probably eased off a little. It's not much, but you got a book.
I got a book.
It's like the most useless book in existence, but you got a book.
I got a book, and there's probably
It's also
like,
magical. It's a magical book, maybe.
Yeah, there's still friendliness from Gwenny and like a little bit of banter.
Yeah.
But yeah, the interest is weighing a little bit of like that.
Dash would try to whittle a whistle, and so he would need your help since you have the book in our off time.
Okay.
Because Dash is an old codger. Old codgers love to whittle, obviously. So he's gonna go and like, if you've got that book, you can help me whittle a whistle, and he's gonna hope that
the only problem is you can't whistle while you work because you're making the whistle.
Fair.
What I'll say is, unless there's any other like attempts to see into Electus or anything else, we'll go to as you come up to rumbling, and the ground starts to rumble, the sky slowly gets darker, and you like, to begin with, it's like a vague, very far away rumble. As you keep going down this path, there's more rumbling. The ground, it's almost like an eternal earthquake as you get closer, and you actually do start to see glimpses of the mountain tree prominent in front of you. And it gets to a point where one night, Junior, you're shaken awake by Electus. Hey, kids.
Yes.
You're almost there. Tomorrow, you should, maybe within an hour or two of starting down the path, you should make the mountain tree.
Right. So, yeah. That's first. Good news.
Yes. And, I thought I should say goodbye before I go.
You're leaving.
It's an easy enough trek from here. Shouldn't take you long.
That's your job as our guide to take us to our destination.
And you're here? Congratulations.
Oh, we are not here. It is there. We're not there yet.
It's probably for the best that I don't go any further with you.
Is this another owl situation or something?
Oh, no. Completely different. Completely different. I've been to the mountain tree. I've seen it. I know what it is. It's not a place I want to go. I understand why you do. Just, my advice would be careful, try not to touch anything, and, if anything happens, just run as fast as you can, you may be okay.
Are you sure that is not the reason you do not wish to return? Not the fact that you've seen it 100 times.
Oh, I've only seen it once. I've never gone back.
For the good reason?
Yes.
You care to share?
No.
Well, I do thank you for your wisdom in guiding us. That is all after all. Quite frankly, been a bit of an arse.
Ah!
Okay. Possibly
Your
I
charm
deserve
towards
that.
Miss Gwynny is nothing more than patronizing because she can handle herself. You put the Colonel into disrepair because you make him feel inadequate. These are people I care about.
Well, then I have one piece of advice for you. You should maybe stop hiding your. You should maybe start hiding your progress. Otherwise, you may also be one who makes your colonel feel inadequate. We can't help who we are, and some of us are just better.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna.
You're asleep. you're asleep, sir.
I'm totally asleep. I'm sleeping. Just know
Yeah.
that if I were awake,
I'd be seething.
What
I'd be seething.
Anyway,
Well, I could not make you feel inadequate because everything I've learned.
no offense was meant. Well, I should leave. And whatever your expectations are, I'd lower them. Very often this type of thing never turns out the way you expect. But I look forward to hearing about everything you achieve. I'm sure stories will start to travel.
If you're so interested, I shall write you a post.
You know my address.
Sure. Okay.
Farewell, Junior. Good luck.
Oh well.
And he starts walking off and slips out. As a sidebar, he is extremely quiet. So, I would say even if you wake up, like, I'll tell you right now, you could feel free to, like, have a go after him. Even Junior, it's not going to go very well.
Junior's fine with letting him go.
Okay. That's fair. The next day, as you wake up, obviously we will do a little hand wave for the reactions of everyone being like, where the hell is that bloody, annoying buttface? And we will fade back in as you're walking down the path. As you are, the rumbling is getting louder. The clouds above are very, very dark, and eventually the trees part completely to reveal to you the mountain tree. And this mountain tree is vast. It is very slowly moving. It is moving in such a way that it slowly knocks other trees out the way, other boulders out the way. I would say it's hard to give a comparison to how large it is, but I would say you guess walking around it might take maybe 3 hours, maybe 3 hours to the other side of it if you can like walk, walk around. It is big. And yeah,
It's like a redwood tree times 10.
times like 100, yeah.
Times 100, yeah. Oh.
How fast is it moving? Is it really slow even, or is it?
It is very slow. It's not quite glacial, but it's just like there's just at the front of it, there's just some dirt kind of being pushed up, and there's kind of a big drag being behind it. I'd say like if I put my hand here, maybe in like 20 minutes it would be here, and that's kind of the real speed it's moving.
I'm just curious how easy we're gonna get crushed.
Oh no. It's
like,
I will also say that there are, as you get closer, there are 3 things you notice. An abundance of noise in terms of crickets and flies and insects all over the place. The hairs on your neck, on just the fur in general, is standing up a little bit, and you taste or smell or sense a little bit of metal in the air. Just a taste, just a scooch.
Go, Junior. This is something that almost very few people have been able to reach.
How would you like to approach this? We have a big ass tree in front of you, basically.
Winnie,
Mm-hmm.
you can fly.
That I can.
Maybe a little scouting, would you? I mean,
Not a problem.
okay.
Take off.
And but before you do, and I hand Gwynny one of the whistles. I have been whittling whistles, and I give one to each person in the group, including Nico. Here you go. We all now have whistles.
Thank you, Mr. Dash. And she puts
You
it
need
in
me,
her
buddy?
bag.
I
no,
slide
keep it
right
on
where
your-
is, sir.
Keep it somewhere so you can whistle if you need us. But you know how to whistle, right? You just take the wooden whistle and then you blow.
Yeah.
So,
I'll get it. I'll get it. Don't worry.
Gwynny. Take off. with-
What do I see? Yeah.
As you go higher, the sensation of like your feathers standing on end a little bit increases. The kind of metallic taste increases a little bit, and you see so much on this tree, just like rakes and scars and like twists of like what almost look like vines or and so forth. But I will say that there is one thing you notice as you're doing a round. It is maybe about 200-300 meters up, maybe even further. There appears to be almost cut from the ground. It's very hard to see pathway that's about 1 animal wide, and I'm talking like 1 mouse wide maybe. Kind of going up along the side of the tree, eventually kind of curling around with it, eventually leading to this, from a distance, I'll give you a very weird kind of like shiny, I imagine the light, yeah, it actually catches your attention because the light shines off it a little bit. You get like a reflection glare. Would you, I'm assuming you'd like to go-
I'm going in.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like, I will say for Gwynny right now, there's like a desperation. Like, we're here.
Yeah.
The library turned out to not be the answers that we needed. So she feels almost desperate to be able to help, and it's like reignited that desperation of finding Juniper.
Okay. Close to it, you see two things. There is a bizarre twist of metal and what's the best way to describe it? It's like it's a weird metal contraption with multiple pipes sticking out of it and small chuffs of steam that come out of it that just go ch 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 at a kind of rhythmic timing. Lots of gauges and dials on it, none of which make any sense to you. Like,
Okay.
you know, the stuff on the gauges and dials make no sense to you. There is a very large, possibly golden, possibly bronze, like globe that's kind of like little blue sparks are kind of like going around it. And there is lodged into what essentially looks like almost like an axe cut or something, and folded up inside some sort of like call it like a bag or something, is wedged into the side of the tree, like right there's kind of like next to at the top where this contraption is, there's like a little platform ledge kind of carved out, and then like a little kind of like carving into the side of the tree. There's a few remnants of little bits and pieces, you know, evidence that someone has been here.
Right.
And inside that, like lodged into this little alcove is a kind of rolled up bag or something.
Do I recognize the bag at all?
Possibly. It's kind of hard to tell with it rolled up and like wedged into the tree.
She would land cautiously,
Yeah.
but land on that little lip.
Okay.
Hello?
No answer.
Does there look to be like any dust residue, or like, is there any residue to show like how long maybe this has been sitting there untouched? Or
There's a few little burn marks on the ground, on the floor of this bit. So possibly a fire or something was put here.
she's gonna peck her beak and pull out her talons, just kind of pull out the bundle.
I'd say that is enough for you to recognize. It's not like you guys all use the same bag every time, but you're pretty sure that's Juniper's bag.
I'm gonna open it.
There is inside, only thing in there is a small bundle of paper.
And I open that.
Okay. There are two parts to the paper. I imagine that you read the beginning bits for the two parts, because there's two different pieces of paper.
Mm-hmm.
One says Dashnay Gwynny, the other says Junior.
I'm gonna... Juniper! And I'm like, now at this point, grabbing it all, bundling it all up, and there's like a frantic...
Flying it down.
Well, there's a, like, I'm really trying to make sure that I'm not missing something. Like, there's this feeling that it's like, she has to be here. Like, there's no other reason. She has to be here. Frantic kind of like as much as an owl can scurry back and forth on the platform, like looking around, looking to see if I've missed anything.
There's not much to it. A small alcove, the weird contraption, the platform, and then just a very small pathway down.
I'm gonna fly down.
Okay.
Keeping my eye along that platform.
Nothing. Just, yeah. down to the group.
Mm-hmm.
Gwynny lands.
And I like
Oh,
just kind of
it's okay.
drop I drop mm, uh, no juniper,
This.
but evidence of juniper.
Oh,
I found notes and a contraption I don't recognize, and we've read all of the same books, so I would imagine that I would know what it is, but I don't see it, and I don't see her, and I don't understand. But okay,
Okay.
Junior, there's one for you, and then Nay and Dash, there's one for us.
When what?
And I like open up the bag, and pull out the paper, and I hand the one to Junior, and I am like clutching onto the other one.
Okay. I'm assuming. Well, I will assume nothing. Who's reading? Is anyone reading out loud or?
I would read out loud for ours, but I would be letting Junior go first.
Okay. Junior, are you reading the letter? I will leave it up to you as to whether you read this out loud. So I will just send you the letter.
I just put my hand on Junior's shoulder while he's reading. I don't read over his shoulder though, but just so he knows
and I walk
that
closer
I'm
to
here.
Gwenny just to give a little.
And Gwynny, I'll send you your letter as well.
Plus, I'm eager to know too, so that's why I got really close.
Junior, I imagine you thought you'd find me here. Well, sorry, kiddo, but I've gone north. I knew you'd make it to the mountain tree, planning to find me, and either bring me back or join me, right? Well, too bad, bucko. I don't want to see. I don't deserve to. Not been a good mother. I'm too selfish and too scared to claim any rights as such. So if you want to see me, really want to find me, well, you'll have to catch up. Love you.
Dash, Nay, Gwynny, I knew you would find this place. Or well, I knew Junior would come here. And I knew that my friends wouldn't let him make the journey alone. I knew you'd keep him safe, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there. It will always be my biggest regret. Every day I wake up and start heading home, and by the evening, I'm setting up camp further away. It's my fault. I can't ignore the compulsion. I can't ignore my feet and my nose. And they look towards the horizon. Not to our home. Not to our hearth. Not a day goes by where you aren't in my mind and in my heart. If Junior has made it this far, then he can find his own way from this point. You are never under any obligations to watch over him, and I know nothing I say will change your minds. But please, do what you want to do now.
And there is a love juniper at the end, but someone may not have put it on. Question: were both of those read aloud? Okay, so you have all heard it. And I imagine the only person who's a little bit to the side would be Nico, just standing quietly.
How are you, Junior? Don't lie.
He does not wish to know me.
I don't think that's true.
He said it. Doesn't.
Said she didn't feel like she deserved you. That's not the same thing. She said she loved you. Sometimes the wanderlust is really bad, and you can't really control it, and you just sometimes it gets a grip of you, and you can never settle down. You're always a rolling stone, and it's not exactly conscious. You can't necessarily make the choice to come back or not, because it's something a bit more elemental. And she had the sight, and I don't know what it's like to have the sight. For all I know, it might be stronger if you do. There might be some sort of pull of nature upon you. And I believe that if she could have come back to find you and see you, she would have. I don't believe for a moment that her not being here is because she doesn't want to be with her heart. I believe that she's not here because she can't be with her spirit. But I don't think it's about you. She loves you. She just, guess, imagine the pull is just too strong.
Just as a quick note, as you're talking, it starts to slowly and then quicker just start to pour down rain.
So, where do we go now?
She said you would know. I trust her on that.
Lightning cracks down somewhere off in the distance a ways.
Probably, camp. Maybe we could go up, Gwenny, where her spot was. We could at least see it.
There's a path all the way up. It might be a little big for Nay, or a little small for Nay. Nay might be a little too big.
Nay's very dexterous. At least we could see where she was sleeping.
We
For
can
a
rest
while.
there until we're ready to move. Right, Junior?
We go back.
Anything you want.
I've dragged you all out here, searching for someone that I can barely remember.
You didn't drag us, honey.
I don't know what I thought I might find out here what hole might be filled by finding her, but
I think
I've never needed her. You two came with me willingly. Without question. Always had my family with me, didn't need to find more. So, and also this sleeping outside, I don't like it. I want my bed. It is a lot more comfortable than sleeping on the ground. And there are bugs, and there is dirt, and there are very rude crows out there. So I don't know what I thought I'd find by adventuring, but
thought you'd find what we all hope to find.
if it's alright with you all, I think for a little while.
Could I very quickly jump into Junior's mind? I wish to know what is currently there. Sorrow, anger, etc.
Just a lot of,
Confused emotions?
yeah.
Right.
Not really know where to go, not really know what place.
No real outlet?
No.
Junior.
But I think for now he just some familiarity. Plus he works through it.
Don't give up on adventuring just yet. Give yourselves time, but seeing the world isn't a bad thing. Just have to do it with friends. And family. I like to think of you as my family, just as I think of Gwenny and Nay. So, this is... just want you to know you're not by yourself. You never have been.
I don't think that I'm done with adventuring. I should very much like to do it again. But maybe with a different cause in mind. Sort of facing someone, something. The adventure. As and if you would all join me. Or allow me to join you.
And
Well,
Very much.
as you say that, lightning cracks again. This time, sparks fly off of the side of the tree. And there is a hollow metal gong.
we should probably get shelter, actually.
As
Doesn't look safe.
the sound reverberates and the air around you becomes heavy with that metal smell, that metal taste. There's a pressure building in your temples as everything starts to vibrate, as everything starts to get heavier and more discombobulating.
Shelter. And I'm going to point to like the nearest sort of covered place. Get low, lightning.
And as you all start moving, the sensation, the kind of whoa, 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 whoa gets louder and louder. And the final thing you will remember is a soundless boom as this kind of like strange green fire like shoots down the side of the tree and kind of like expands out all along in this like wave, like green fire wave tide, and just starts like flowing towards all of you. The last thing you remember is being hit by this kind of
I
not
try to shield Junior.
I imagine you kind of all like shelter
Yeah,
together.
shelter each other.
Agreed.
And the last thing you remember is warmth. It's not painful, but it's warm, and it like everything goes dark.
And
then later, who would be the first to open their eyes? I think probably Nay would be a good choice. But all of you wake up at around about the same time. Nay, you feel the sun irritating on your eyes. Clearly someone left the window open in your house when they came to visit. But then you realize as you open your eyes, no, you're outside. In a massive clearing in the wilds. A lot of open space all around you. And you're kind of like huddled together with Gwynny, with Dash, Junior, and Nico, all kind of like huddled together on the floor. I'd say probably at this point you remember what happened. Got hit by a big green tidal wave of fire or water or something. And as you kind of like push yourself up, you kind of spring up. The usual cracks and creaks and everything aren't there. And as you kind of like look down to see the others, Dash and Gwynny, you are taken back to another time. You've grown up with these animals, you've grown older with these animals, but these animals no longer appear to be old. I would say the grey has gone. The slight weathering and, on their fur is gone, or their feathers. They look younger. Maybe about 10 years. Maybe 15. And I would imagine you all start to wake up to some degree.
And I definitely know that I'm like still processing, first off, waking up where we're waking up. Secondly, what just happened before we woke up, which was that big old whoosh and energy. And then also like right before that, all that really emotional information and what we've been kind of searching for, so to speak. And then Nay, as you know, has been done this entire time, has been very in his own feelings. So when he has to tap into him sometimes, it's much more of a burst. So now that like he's in the present again, he actually, regardless of the fact that people are still sleeping, he just yells at the top of his lungs, "Damn it!"
Yeah, that'll wake you all up.
What?
They're so like Juniper.
What do you mean?
Oh. And as everyone kind of gets the opportunity to kind of wake up here, I'm still kind of like, you can see I'm shaking off a little bit of like my processing that has finally caught up in this moment in time because everything was just such a fast chain reaction.
Yeah.
Oh. Wait a minute. What happened?
What's
going on?
I'll also give you this, just purely because it will be noticeable. The tree is not there.
Yeah.
Imagined that.
Is everyone all right? Is everyone all right?
Why are you yelling about Juniper? Where is she?
You
No,
look different.
it's such a Juniper thing. Saying, don't come find me. You try to find me. Leave the kid behind. Don't leave the kid behind. This and that. Love me. Love you. Like we're going to stop walking around looking for her. I just start kind of stomping around for a little bit because I can't talk properly.
Nate, you look different. Actually, Winnie, you do too.
Yeah. And as you both get up, same thing. The stiffness of the joints, the, slight, slower reactions, the eyesight, everything is clearer. And as you look at each other, the grey's gone, the slight weathered of the fur and everything is gone. Yeah.
What did you do? Was that a really good sleep?
No.
What about
Junior?
Juniper? Or what about Junior?
Uh,
Junior and Nico, do they look younger?
3 years old.
No.
Talk around in a coat that's too big for him.
Nico, Nico looks okay. She's kind of like staring around a little bit, kind of like wide-eyed. Junior, you feel great
Physically.
I will say this: the one of the first things you feel when you wake up is a pull. There's no real way to describe it past, like, you know which way home is, and you know which way you want to go, back to the hearth, but there's a pull, and it's not towards the hearth.
Does anyone else feel a bit younger? Besides me. Junior, you look the same.
Mr. Dash, you lost the grey in your fur.
You lost some weight as well.
Quite a lot of weight.
Uniform fits a bit better, I guess.
Junior's going to
Yes.
stand up off the floor and he's probably going to be taller than he was.
A little bit taller. The ease at which you spring off the floor is surprising.
Quite limber this morning.
Look a bit older. Just a bit.
Can't see my hands. Can't prove protection.
A bit of whiskers going on there.
I have
longer?
always had whiskers, thank you.
No, they're a bit longer, actually.
Mm.
You notice?
Yes.
Nay, you think Juniper did this?
And that kind of snaps me back into like being with everyone, not in my own little
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah.
Do I think she did it? She had to have done it. I mean, I don't. And tries to like formulate words, but can't like really get out the feelings. Doesn't know how to express the feelings more than yes.
Do you think it was that machine that was up there? Do you think maybe, Bunny, do you think maybe Juniper made that machine and that's what did it? Tasted sort of metal in the air.
I don't think it was the machine. I think that's the tree.
Oh. Mm. Well, I mean, we're gonna find her still, right?
I think that if she wished to be found, she would find us. But if we cross paths with them, not to be unhappy. Because
And
her path, we have
Dash
ours.
sits as you talk.
Because her path, we have ours. And I believe there are many.
Just as a sidebar, you're still getting cut off a bit.
We're going to pretend that I said something incredibly meaningful and insightful. Despite the technical issues.
That was really meaningful and insightful, Junior.
Thank you.
Thank you
Wow.
for the
Wow.
meaningful and insightful speech.
Always been
Thank
very meaningful and insightful, but that right there was even more so than normal.
That was the most meaningful and insightful thing.
I actually feel smarter.
No, I don't think
I-
that has changed now. Although, your grin has gotten bigger.
Ha ha.
We've lost years. I think.
Or did
Well,
we
how do you
gain
lose them?
them?
Well,
I think we've gained years. We get to go back.
Yes, go back. We should.
No, we get to go back to. And we can redo the lost time.
Gwenny, the time wasn't lost. It was spent with you and with Nay and watching Junior grow up from like a wee little mouse to a fine young man.
I mean the lost time without the person that's missing. But I think maybe as corny as it sounds, maybe she meant for us to find Junior and find this in our new adventure.
I wanted to grow old with her. Now I don't think she even really recognized me anymore. Now I exist as I did in a memory.
What if the same thing happened to Junior's mother as happened?
Well, don't know. The only two people who didn't go backwards were people who are the wind.
I couldn't see more. I'm not really sure, but I can. Everything's green.
Junior, what about you?
I
Junior, you almost feel on fire, but like within, like your veins feel like they're filled with molten gold.
I feel like I'm ready for the next adventure ahead.
Right then. Nay, what are you gonna do?
Huh? Me? It's
Yeah.
time for more adventuring. I've never felt this good in I don't know how long. Starts doing one arm push-ups.
One arm push-ups and yeah, maybe lifting a couple of things around you, like.
Spinning my ironwood branch like it's a twig instead of an actual heavy bludgeoned weapon.
Yeah.
Ah. Mhm.
Wendy, what about you?
I don't know.
You don't know? Will you join me?
I'll always join you.
Ah, yes.
But finding that library is awful tempting. Now I have more years to learn and read.
Well, we can adventure to there too. More adventuring.
Maybe I could find out what happened to us.
That sounds way too smart for me.
You're smart, Nay. You're not smarter than you give yourself credit for. Takes a lot of brains to get muscles like that.
Or an appetite. Yes.
Oh,
Shoot.
speaking of which, I'm fairly hungry. Could we maybe have lunch?
Of course.
Because I knew I liked you.
It is sunny now, and sounds like we're going to have a long way to walk.
Starts pulling the sack to the side and starts opening and starts handing out the remnants of what food was gathered.
I don't.
I could go for some lunch. Food.
Let's start with lunch. We can find out. Yeah, we can figure out what happens after lunch. After lunch.
What do you say, dash old pal? Pulls him on in with a nice
Oh,
wrap around him. Ah,
now this reminds me of when we were younger, indeed.
A little crunch
well,
of
let's stop
bones.
talking like an old man.
You know, Nay, I am an old man though, and I never regretted it. And now I'm not. And that's strange.
Well, are you ready to be cool?
Nay, you know I've never been as cool as you.
That's why we get to try again. Come on.
Do we have to go back to school?
You're not that young.
I'm still asking.
I mean, you know, if you get a doctorate, you could be in school for a very long time. I'm just saying. I feel like anybody who should get a doctorate, that should be 20.
That's definitely you. No, you, not me.
I don't know. I don't know what it means, and I feel like we probably need to figure it out.
After lunch.
On a full stomach.
After
Yeah.
lunch.
After lunch. And the camera slowly pans back, slowly pans away as the whole group gathered around, starting a fire, starting to unpack some food. Then the camera pans up and turns towards the north, flies forward over the wilds, you see ents and you see forest trolls, and even at one point it goes down and you see a whole like 5 or 6 different forces of Spriggans just like charging at each other, screaming with wooden swords. And then goes further past the lake. You see a giant pike just jump and dive back down into the water. Further along, up towards the river, you see little dots of canoes and sailboats and fishing boats plumbing up and down the river. And then further past over the undergrowth, where you see multiple little plastic balloon-looking bushes hopping and jumping around. And then, even further towards the mountains, slowly flying up the mountains, these vast, jagged peaks, until it eventually crests the peak a little ways away with a outlined figure against the sun, a scarf being blown in the wind, like flying off over the shoulder. And we'll end there.
Wholesome show here.
Right?
Hey, that was
I only
wholesome.
cried twice.
That was wholesome. I'm sorry, when Gwynny cried the first time, that was wholesome. I feel like, you know, it's not my fault that you guys went all like super, you know, like none of that. Yeah, none of it's my fault.
No.
Let's be honest. Definitely Juniper's
Kind
fault.
of,
Yeah.
kind of feel like it's your fault, Sheepy, but that's just me. I mean, I'm just.
Yeah.
The hell.
That could be true too.
So yes, that is the end for now. Let us say. First up, thank you all four of you. That was a lot of fun. It was very nice to do a more wholesome, less you can still be emotional, you can still have emotions and action and stuff. The point behind it is not to be depressed. Or like feel down. I don't think we achieved that. I don't think we managed to get everyone feeling all depressed and down. So, I'm only speaking for myself, of course, but I hope. Yeah, I think we'll try not to go too long because we have already gone over a little bit. Apologies for that, all four of you, and probably not so much to the viewers because, you know, if they're watching, they're like, oh, yay, more. I want to throw it out so you can kind of throw out your thoughts or and so forth. So let's say we'll do a round robin of outros, and feel free to also talk a little bit. Does anyone have a hard out for this? Do you need to be going fairly soon or anything? Okay, a little bit. All right.
I don't have like an hour, but
Apparently I do.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We won't take an hour or anything. But yeah, if
like I can do an extra like 10 minutes.
yeah, okay. In that case, let's start with Junior, and also Safi Pie. Tell us about you and tell us what you thought.
Junior in this, and I'd say it's probably, I think this is one of my favorite characters that I've ever played. Definitely very different from what I don't play, and I'm really glad that I got to try it out and how well it was playing this character.
As a sidebar, Safi, you are still sorry.
Oh my god. This is why you don't let someone else borrow your mic.
Yeah, that's
like, look at that smug little face.
Yeah, he's really loud, to be fair. So he clearly, you know, just
yeah. Yeah, so I'm just really grateful for everyone for letting me try out this character because it's not something that I normally do. And I'm really happy that I got to play him. Hi, I'm Sappy. You can find me at Sappy Pie on Twitch and Twitter. I stream once a month if you're fucking lucky. So follow me on there if you want to catch a stream. Otherwise, you might see me around on a couple of roleplay channels, but mainly this one. Yeah, I really enjoyed Overgrown. It was nice to do something wholesome.
Aha! She said wholesome. It's wholesome. There you go. I succeeded. Sorry. Please do finish.
I really enjoyed doing the show.
Do you want to throw it over to someone?
Ellie.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you, Safi.
I loved Junior so much. Like, so much. Just such a, like, every character to me, like, really hit me in, like, so many different ways. And, like, my heart, like, I'm sad that this is ending. Like, partially also probably why I'm emotional, because it's like, I am having so much fun, and I think that the balance of this cast is, and everyone's brought such a beautiful character and exploring such beautiful like aspects and stories and emotions that like it's just I'm really, really, really humbled and honored to be a part of it. And Sheepy, thank you for putting this together, and like thank you to the whole cast for bringing your heart and sharing it. And I'm gonna miss Gwynny.
Yeah.
It like It was just a joy to get to RP something that's so comforting. Especially like when I've done the opposite. I've tried things that are harder and more outside of my comfort zone, and then like to come back to just like being able to bring aspects of yourself into a character is a really, really, really cool experience. So, yeah. My name is Elbel or Ellie, or El or Bell or combination of all of that. But on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you can find me at Elbel, which starts with a 3. I stream 3 days a week on Saturdays, Mondays, and Tuesdays, starting at 5 p.m. Eastern. And I play whatever my ADHD tells me to play. So I jump around and do a ton of different things, and we're always talking about tabletop. We're always talking about D&D. We're always talking about characters and world building. And that's really just kind of whatever else comes to mind. So if you've enjoyed this story and you want to talk about it, please come find me. And yeah, that's it. Just thank you, Sheepy. I'm gonna pass this on to Trooper.
Hey, everybody. I'm Trooper SJP. Woo! Thanks for being here, all of you audience members with us. I see you. I see your comments on the YouTube. All of you who, Mr. Matt and Sarif, have spent time to sort of engage in the comments. Thank you so much. And then all of you who comment live also, thank you. I want to say what a great pleasure this has been. We've all, I feel like people who think that wholesome things will not devastate you have not seen Charlotte's Web or any of the Gen X kids movies where people die and everybody is sad and you weep. But there's something very special about being able to sort of be in a kind of that kind of emotional space that you get right at the end of Charlotte's Web. There's something very special about that. And what I think is interesting, I want to give great love to my fellow cast members for creating such complicated characters, and complicated and deep, and able to really give the sense of having known each other. And I want to say, first off, to Safi, don't think that I didn't see what you were doing this episode. I saw you. You had Junior grow in this way. I just saw so much growth in Junior this episode, while Junior still presented himself more or less sort of like you would imagine Junior presenting himself. But there was this deep core of change that happened when he was talking to Electus. And I was like, all right, Junior, I see you. I see you. And just those moments, like in the library, all these moments we could see Junior becoming a person who is less in their self and a bit more sort of group oriented. And of course, devastation at the end. And to see that sort of not knowing where to go and what that means. It was such deep work, and I really appreciated seeing that. Junior's a good egg. Gwenny. Oh my goodness. Albel. Yeah. It was so terrible. Right. Wholesome, whatever. It was so terrible to go to the library and have this owl tell you that you didn't mean anything. And like, who is this owl to speak, right? You don't, this owl doesn't even read the books, for heaven's sakes. It's just like a dragon hoarder. But to see the way that hit Gwenny so hard, and then to see how that then carried through to the rest of Gwenny's actions for the rest of the session, and how Gwenny went up there, it was so, that is also the depth of Gwenny, right? So Gwenny's depth is I'm going to come back around. I have a thought. And then of course, Jen, all of the characters present themselves in one way, every single one of us. And there's an obvious way to understand what's happening underneath the surface. And with each of the characters, that actually wasn't what was happening under the surface. Each character had something different under the surface. You might think, oh, Gwenny, she loves books. So what she's afraid of is that she's all brains and not brawn enough. That's what her fear is, but that never was her fear, right? That each one of us has a kind of a thing that we struggle with that is different than what you would imagine, right? And that the depth of the struggle, right, is Nay bright? Absolutely, Nay's bright. But then Nay, you saw Nay say it, oh, I'm not very bright. And you're like, oh no, stop that, right? The ways in which each one of our characters from junior all the way over has suffered from expectations, right? Each one of the characters has had expectations laid upon them in different ways, and they've lived up to those expectations. But that isn't all who our characters were. Our characters were more than that. And we saw it, but the society outside may not have. And I really appreciate being at a table with people who could convey such complexity with such brief little moments, such beautiful complexity coming out. And also, what a devastating ending in many ways. I don't know what everybody else felt about it, but each one has each ending was a devastating ending in so many different ways.
Sorry, just
a lot of emotional damage.
Just to insert very quickly, I almost rewrote the letter to a junior from like
brutal.
It
was hard.
Like Sheepy said it over, and I gave it a quick pre-read before I said it, and I stopped myself like actually tearing up. I was like, no, not right now. It's in a minute. And I was like,
I will say,
heartbreaking.
A conversation that will have to happen is that letter was clearly not completely honest, right? If you just compare the language that Juniper used to speak to Junior versus the language that Juniper used to speak with us, it was very clearly a form of posturing in order to get Junior to back off in order to protect Junior. And I was like, that is heartbreaking. But we're just gonna have to tell Junior that this is that your mom loves you. Like, this is clearly but Junior couldn't hear it then, but that conversation will happen. We're gonna top out that bucko, because I'm telling you, mom loves you way more than she's putting on. Oh man, the emotional damage. The emotional damage was heavy with that one. And I think Dash is sad to have lost those years, because he wanted to find Juniper and be at the same age, because he still wanted to deliver that letter. And I mean, it's really interesting to see what this will mean, right? What these gifts will mean for us, because it'll mean something different for each one, right? Yeah. I'm gonna pass it over to Jen. Oh, and also thanks, Sheepy, for all the emotional damage. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like I just got like.
Yeah.
Before I take over, where can we find you?
Oh, behind you? Stalking you? No. Thank you for reminding me. You can find me on my channel, Trooper SJP, on Twitch. I stream every Friday. I stream RPGs on my channel. It's the summer, and I don't have much left in this summer, but I'm trying to poke in some new things. In case you're interested in a new thing, in 2 weeks' time, 2 Fridays' time, I've been doing a series. Whenever players are busy, I do solo RPGs. And right now, this will be starting in 2 weeks, will be the first session of the continuing adventures of Crash Jones, which is it's using Ironsworn Starforge, which is a super cool solo system. If you've not played it, you really should. It's very great. And it is like Crash Jones is like a Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon pulp hero type who's a fictional character in the Traveler universe that I'm GMing. And so if you want a good 4 or 5 self-contained serial arc of the great hero Crash Jones, lost in time and space across the universe looking for the heart, and real good pulp goodness, come and see me in 2 weeks. That's what I'm gonna say. But also see these folks. And now you cannot avoid it, Jen. I'm passing it to you.
Shoot, okay, I tried so long. All right, folks, I'm going to start with my little portion, and then I'm going to actually talk about the amazing cast. That way I don't forget. All right, so if you want to catch me anywhere, my name is General Andrews on all the different platforms. That's on Twitch, that's on YouTube, that is on Threads, that's on Twitter. Feel free to contact me anywhere. I love having these kind of conversations, kind of like what we're talking about now. So I actually want to dive into this. This is my first ever actually recorded TTRPG. Everything I've done before has just been like a couple of friends doing a silly little thing, and I had a bunch of fun with it. So this, though, wow. I cannot believe how willing the cast was to work with me, because I was like a bull in the china shop, okay? So therefore, I really embodied Nay a lot in this scenario, which is kind of funny because usually most of the time I only get myself into scenarios that are very comfortable with, and then I just kind of peek around and I start to do a little bit more that way. So for me to take this dive, it was really like Nate coming back out of his hole, his little dwelling that he had been forced into, pretty much on his own accord. But of course, he didn't mind blaming Juniper there at the end for everything, because he's so good at emotional regulation. He's just really, really good at that kind of thing. But I want to talk about everybody else's performances that were just absolutely just. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to talk about Ellie for a little bit here. How great was it that Ellie wanted to have more time for the information, but realized the more time for the information meant less time with her tribe, her people, her friends, and just the tug of, like, anyone could feel this. Your passion project versus everyone else in your life.
Yeah.
Woo, woo! That was really good stuff. So I was just trying to do all my facial expressions so that I didn't lose it while that entire thing was going on, and I was trying to huff and puff that way I could be bigger in that moment, just so I didn't have to get all emotional. Badgers don't get emotional.
No.
Now, with that being said, also, what about Sappy Pie telling Alexis exactly what he needed to hear? F off, man. F off, dude. So many great characters. Sheepy made so many amazing ones, right? But Alexis, Jesus Christ, Sheepy, what an asshole, man.
I know. Yeah.
That means great writing. Honestly, great job of figuring out to make me so mad at somebody who's not even real. So that was stellar. And how Sappy handled that, and what I thought was really cool is how Sappy's would go back and forth, and you would feel the youthful junior-like energy where it'd be like, well, I don't know what to do in this situation.
Yeah.
But then there's moments of time where that leadership or that ability to take the reins came forward, and you had to listen even more because of the balancing of the moments where it was like a child. I don't know what why are you behind me, Nico? I don't get it. Let's go. And so, like, all of that was so good. And then Sappy just, being able to cry on cue all the time. That's something special, folks. That's that's so.
It's my overused party trick at this point.
It gets me every time. So you keep on pulling that party trick. All right.
You hit the exact right tone for reading the letter. Like, that was perfect.
Oh, I got goosebumps again. Now let's talk about party or cool people. Let's talk about how cool Dash really is. All right. A lot of the times people think somebody who is orderly is stuck up. Somebody who's always planning and double checking things is somebody that can never have fun, can never have spontaneity. But if you really think about it, there were so many different points and times that Dash actually was very spontaneous. Now, it might be to your chagrin because you're like, oh, it's gonna be an awkward moment here, such as when Dash had to go off with Electus and just get in this whole, what are you about? What are you about?
What are you about?
Right? And so, like, that to me felt very spontaneous, because otherwise he wants to be with his friends. He wants to make sure that he's doing the right thing. Is he leading them properly? Is he scouting properly? Is he making sure everything is, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed? So to have all those different moments like that. And what I thought was really cool too was, constantly Dash building everybody else up, similar to Gwenny, right? So both of these two had their different ways about it. You had like the endearing kind of, not necessarily motherly figure, but definitely leading forward with kindness. You could feel that from Gwenny's character. Then you had Dash, who really was, for a long time, if you're really paying attention to the story, was stuck in his, let's say, lost love, so to speak. but that lost love also led him into a situation of being such a caring and indelible person who wasn't just, well, let me get to the next mission, let me deliver the next letter. Instead, you know, let me sit back for a little while. Let me kind of observe everything. Let me take it all in, because it's been so go, go, go to enjoy those times with everyone. Oh, just everyone. Thank you all for doing such a good job. And hopefully you all enjoyed the ridiculous that was Nay. And as if you started to see, there was a little bit more, Nay started talking more as the thing went on. Nay started cracking jokes more. Why? Because he started to come out of his shell more. He wasn't stuck in his hole. And so hopefully no one felt too thrown off by it. But that was what was trying to get across at that point in time.
No.
Oh no, it was so beautiful. It was so
okay,
beautiful.
okay.
It was like, oh, there's our Nay, right? There's a Nay that we get to. It was always felt like there was like Nay that we would get to see when we were by ourselves, all three of us, and then like, but all these other people were there, so we didn't get to see that Nay. But then by the end, we got to see our Nay again. You know, that's what it felt like to me.
When you think about where we started with Nay in the first episode and where we ended with Nay, there's a really nice, impressive, subtle progression.
Cool. I was hoping so, and I really wanted to cap that off with that, you know, my way or Nay's way of really just getting all that emotion out and just yelling to the sky. You know, like the sky is going to answer back. It hasn't yet, you know, but he's going to do it. He's going to let it all out because he's been keeping it in for so long. And so when Nico came through with the most clutch thing to ever hear, lunch, I was sold. So thank you everyone for taking the time to watch this series that all these amazing people put on.
And I am Sheepdog. This is The Wandering Inn. We're going to be taking a hiatus on the channel for a small amount of time. Hopefully it'll only be a few weeks. I'm going to try and get my computer sorted. I'm going to try and catch up on a few things. Answering one of the questions that's going to be read out. Sheepy, when merch and when Sports Ball show? Merch will be done in the hiatus. I need time to like step back and do all these things that I just haven't been able to have time for. I've been a bit overwhelmed. And when Sports Ball show is still in the mix. I very much want to do it, and I've been planning it and everything. It's a little bit more complicated than a regular show for certain reasons. I may have to reassess exactly how I want to do it, but we'll see. Past that, very quickly, so there, I've answered your question, Blind Watchman. Damn Man for yes, damn man. As this is the end for now, what's everyone's favorite scene of the series? And oh look, Safi survived again. She always does. Shouldn't be shocked. I will say I don't want to keep you guys too long, so the favorite scene, but I don't want to, you know, like, yeah, I don't want to go forever. I will say for me, it's probably the Dash Junior scene at the end of last episode. I'm just stealing that one right now.
How dare you?
Yeah. You'll have to choose one of yours, Winnie.
I love when we all got to see the cherry orchard for the first time before we found out that it was bad.
That was really cool.
Full of cult, yeah.
Feel free to just shout out if you have one.
Well, you've already taken so many good ones. I'm going to go a little bit on the selfish side here, and I really enjoyed getting in a tussle with Briarbook there. And
cinematic fight.
Had that cinematic fight, because again, you're thinking a wholesome show. You're thinking, okay, if anything, there's just going to be a little bit of talking to make some arguments or some battling of the wits of the mind, but to actually throw a little bit of action there too. I really enjoyed that, and to be able to, you know, go back and forth with Sheepy, that was a lot of fun. So there's my input.
So we have
You've all taken, but my top was the one that you mentioned, Sheepy. That to me of this show was like the moment that I was like, oh my gosh. I am just floored by the RP of my friends. I will say the library hit me for many like personal reasons, but also character reasons. And yeah.
I will say, like, I have a soft spot for Nico and for Electus, but probably my favorite character was Aurelia. I know she wasn't around very long, but
I loved her. That moment that broke you, of Jen and I, that tiny moment of the library might be my favorite. Right. Is the moment that broke you by us RPing to break you.
It was when you joined forces and you both started doing it. It just killed me.
That's a good point. It was good. Yeah.
I think my favorite would be the opening montage where Junior goes through and meets each one of us, and we each get to interact with Junior in a different way, but we each get to see each of our characters, right, as we are in that opening moment, right? Like, who do we start as? And that little opening montage I thought was just so beautiful. I love that very, very much. It's my favorite moment.
I'm a bit of a hussy for a good opening montage in my shows, so yeah. Whoops. Also, from Mark, thank you very much, Mark, for the super chat. It says, sorry, no butter. That is a very, very old meme from back when I was doing gaming stuff, where I ordered a little, like, afternoon tea takeout. I ordered a butter flapjack, and I got a cinnamon one. And there's a little note inside that said, sorry, no butter. And that was all it said.
Peachy laughed at that.
Yeah, Peachy knows that one. Also from, I'm going to mess up your name very slightly, apologize. Pavel Kolsar, Sheepy Ice Cubes Under the Hat Fund. Very much thanks. I won't need it. Well, no, I do. I wear the hat on a different thing. So it's good. And also, finally, rolling in Void Smoker. Thanks to everyone for the precious tale, and to Sheepy for bringing my favorite RPers together. You are most welcome, Void. And I always enjoy seeing your art when you make it. I'm not going to ask for art of Overgrown, but do tag me, please, if you do ever make it. Because it's always cool to see. Yeah, actually, if anyone is interested, I believe Void is a Void Smoker on Twitter. There's art of some of the shows I've done on there. Always amazing to see. So go trawl through.
Amazing artist.
Yeah, go trawl through the Twitter a bit. You'll see like characters from some of the shows we've done up there.
I like saving the pictures. Like whenever you get like that little notif on Twitter,
yeah,
and it's a picture from Void, I'm always like. So it's like I have all the ones that he's mentioned me, and I've then saved them. I've got them in a little folder on my computer, and I go and look at them sometimes.
Nice. I am going to
put them into a slideshow.
I'm going to finish off with something very specific, which is, aside from saying links to everyone in the description, please go give them some love. Additionally, I'm going to open up the floor very quickly for each person, for everyone, for the cast. If you would like me to answer a question that you have, please feel free to ask. And if not, then we can just head off. About the show, about the world building, about anything that happened, you know.
Can I ask Junior a question instead?
Sure.
Oh, there you go.
Go on.
Yeah. For Junior. Where does Junior plan on going next? Like, where's the next place? Does the next place he really wants to go? Does he want to go back to the hearth? Like, I want to know where he wants to go next.
Oh, Junior won't be able to go back to the hearth.
I see.
Safi wanted Junior to go back to the hearth, and Sheepy's like, no, you got Wanderlust now, mate. You're infected.
Oh yeah, you are.
Oh no.
Lucky gay.
Did you not notice you're forged in fire?
Yeah.
No one's dead.
Nope. Apparently, you'll. Well, maybe that'll help. Maybe that'll help Junior.
So
poor Nate's just gonna have to travel with a bed on his back.
I can actually throw out a little piece of information here. I was wondering if anyone was going to try and help Junior up. I was really hoping it was going to be Nay. If Nay would have tried to help Junior up in that pull, Junior would have pulled Nay down. So Nay would have gotten thrown to the floor. I didn't have an opportunity to highlight exactly what's happened to Junior, but it's interesting. So yeah.
A question in regards to how hard has it been to, because you've got such a world, and you only get to do a tidbit of it.
Yeah.
How easy or hard is that to try to manage as you got all these thoughts, these ideas, these passions for where it could go?
Unbelievably difficult. I consoled myself by throwing out a couple of little things like the Spriggans and like the forest troll, and the library was very cool. I was very glad to get to do that. But yeah, no, there is like up in the mountains, there's a whole thing going on up there. Like up in the slime pits with the frogs and the newts and everything. They're bizarre. They're like this really weird actual cult. Sorry, I can answer this question because it's not really a question, but
We don't believe you.
yes, 100%. It was a nod to Dash when the cat smiled at the camera
I was thinking that.
in the intro. Yeah.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
But
I saw it.
let us head off for the evening and for a little while. But do not worry, we'll be back with more shows. I have some good ones on the horizon and some good ones recording. So thank you for watching, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you soon in the future.
Was it all just a dream, just all in my head? Floating rivers upstream, the things that you said. Tell me and be honest, tell me, did you know that you would believe in me just like the winter's snow? Tell me and be honest, tell me, should I've known that you'd believe in me? So painfully quiet and slow, I try my best to move on.